Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
We are actually on.
But listen, if we are, and I doubt this would ever happen, if we are ever at a loss for content, this room will be our savior.
Absolutely.
Is it in there? That's a new segment. I'm just going to name something and people find it in his room.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you, and with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
You talking to us?
One of you can say hi. Say hello, dicks.
Hi, everybody.
There you go.
I'm putting a hat over my headphones.
There you go.
Because I think it looks
under
good.
the headphones, over the headphones.
Oh, that is a good
It's a good look for you. I like that.
I'm going to go kill some animals now.
It's like one of those big hunting hats with the flap.
Yeah, you look like an old DJ in in Anchorage.
I gotta love it. So, how are you, gentlemen? This soupy hot day in last day of June here.
Well, I'm all right, hanging in there.
Nah, that's good.
Hoping that the NBA can actually have a finals that is not determined solely on who's still healthy.
Well, I mean, you wish for a lot there, don't you?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, listen, it's going to be if some of these teams survive those injuries, it's going to be a battle of attrition, right? Who can win with at least one of their stars out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and in most cases, their biggest star.
Right. It seems like that's always the case, right?
Yeah.
So. Well, it is June 30th. It means tomorrow is July 1st, and you know what that means, right?
The day after is July 2nd.
No, it means Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get that in there. That tomorrow is Bobby Bonilla Day. We celebrate it every July 1st.
There's a lot of Bobbies there.
By throwing money into the gutter.
2 Bobbies and a Steve. By throwing money into the gutter.
That's how we celebrate. Take $100 and flush it down the toilet, folks.
1.3 or 1.4 or 1.2 million dollars, something like that. Every year, that man gets his check for the next. I think it's for the next 630 years too.
That would be an interesting pool. I'll just use myself. Will Pete die before Bobby Bonilla stops getting paid by the Mets?
Is he still getting paid more than Jacoby Ellsbury?
He will. Let's put it this way. It's not that much longer. I mean, it's beyond halfway now. But let's put it this way: Francisco Lindor, Francisco Bonilla, yeah.
We're halfway through the 50-year contract.
Yeah, exactly. Francisco Lindor just signed a 10-year extension after this year, so he's good through 2032. Bobby Bonilla still has 2 or 3 years left on his contract after Francisco Lindor.
Why did they sign that? Why did they do that?
Deferred money. They deferred money. When they brought him back in '99, they deferred money. They just figured they were playing it. They had to. I believe it had something to do with the $91 million that they gave Piazza. And they wanted to move Bonilla's contract around a little bit, so he agreed to take it in a very long installment plan, and there you go.
Yeah,
so.
Smart.
I mean, I don't imagine. I don't imagine they figured he was going to play until he was 76.
Probably not.
Probably pays a lot less in taxes.
This is true. Yeah, exactly. That too.
Yeah, right.
And speaking of baseball, did you see the first pitcher got thrown out of a game for sticky substances?
Hey, look, this Major League Baseball All-Star Game should be brought to you by Spider Tack. Spider Tack, it really did make a difference.
It really did make
a
difference.
Because
spin rates are down.
We're just seeing baseball games now that are not, just home runs and strikeouts. People are hitting the ball again. Yes, and I mean, look, we'll see what happens. But Cole got shellacked, and I hate to think that he relies on Spider Tack to be one of the best pitchers in the league. But
don't get shellacked. Use Spider Tack.
That's right. Don't get shellacked. Use Spider Tack.
There you go.
Now an invisible, non-sticky.
invisible, non-detectable.
I mean, we have to get people at Dow Chemical working on something. Can we call NASA? Because Yankees need all the help they can get, and so we need something that's invisible and non-sticky.
Exactly.
That feels like a pitcher end.
Well, I think maybe about half as sticky as Spider Tack, right?
Stick.
That way it won't be, the Brewers and the Cubs every other day.
Right. I don't know, maybe twice as sticky.
But it won't be quite the way it is now, so it'll be somewhere in between. So we'll have a nice mix of offense, and then when a pitcher's really on, he might throw a really great 7-inning shutout, which won't be a no hitter.
I mean, is it me or it looks? I mean, I haven't done. Jimmy's off this week, so we haven't been able to compile the stats.
Exactly, we couldn't put the stats together now.
But we're seeing some of the top pitchers not have great games.
Right.
We're seeing people starting to hit the ball. Great hitters who have had kind of hard years, who have tanked a little bit,
and they're finally coming around a little.
They're finally coming around, and even some of the closers in the game are starting to blow saves. Yeah. So maybe there's something. It seems illogical that there's something that can impact the game that much. Yeah. But obviously, I think the proof's in the pudding. I think it was.
There was a report. They did. They looked at Cole and Bauer. They looked at their spin rates. Their spin rates are generally for their four-seamer and their slider. They're generally in the high 2000s, right around 3,000 is the spin rate. They're down over 200 RPM spins, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't even know what they call it, but yeah, it's down. It's down drastically. It's down a lot just since last Monday, just this past week. So that's it.
So let me ask something. So they can calculate the spin rate of a ball, but yet we are getting strikes called that are 5-6 inches outside of the strike zone.
Because it's a computer that calculates the spin rate. It's an asshole that calls a strike 5 feet outside the strike zone.
Yeah. And look, and I would
say whoever's calculating the spin rate can count really fast.
Yeah, well, maybe they should calculate whether it was a strike or not.
Yeah,
and I also think, listen, that's obviously part of it. The banning of the substance. Also, it's getting a little warmer. The air is getting a little heavier, and batters are coming around a little bit. I have no scientific evidence other than what my common sense tells me to back this up, which is not scientific evidence in itself. But I would think that a shortened season and what kind of was gone through with COVID would be a little harder on hitters than on pitchers. That's just my gut feeling.
Pitchers take time off already. Hitters generally need to keep playing to keep in a groove.
Yeah, now you could say, well, they didn't play a long season. They didn't get as tired. But, I mean, the timing was all kind of thrown off. Again, I think these are all elements that are adding to better hitting right now. But I think probably this
it's still not great. It's still not great hitting. It's just better.
No, but it's better. And I think there's
because the averages are just the lowest I've ever experienced in my lifetime, and maybe it wasn't right. I mean, am I wrong?
Well, we talked
you're
about
not wrong.
This.
You're not wrong.
They were in like the 240s.
Yeah, I mean, when you're hitting 250 and you're leading the team in hitting, I mean, that's a weird season.
Yeah, 252 is like, hey, that's pretty good. Put that guy in the hole.
Yeah, we still got guys in the lineup hitting 182.
Put him in the 3-hole. The strikeout percentage this year so far in 2021 is the highest it's ever been. It's 23.9% is the strikeout percentage.
And you're starting to see more walks. Guys on base percentages are going up. So that also tells me that maybe they don't have as much control over it without this. I don't know. I don't know what
it's weird though. They did a comparison. 1970 versus 2021. 1970, the strikeout percentage was 15%. This year, like I said, it's 23.9 so far. But ERA, all right, the average ERA was 3.89 in 1970. It's 4.12 right now. Yeah. So the strikeouts are almost you're almost not quite double, but a lot more than what it was. And but the ERAs are higher. That's
do you have numbers on
the other thing is pitch counts are down. You don't see guys working deep into the count. You don't. I mean, the Yankees were notorious for that. I mean, they still got some of the same guys who have who could work somebody over for 14 pitches in an at bat. They're not. People aren't connecting with the ball at all.
What that stat though tells me is that the pitching to ground balls.
Right.
Is way down. It's either strikeout, walk, or home run.
Yeah, like what is do you have the numbers? Like what is the whip?
I don't. The only other stat,
or the hits per game.
Slugging percentage is the only other one they did in that.
Hits per game is down.
Hits per game's down.
Significantly.
Down. But
they're not getting as many hits, but the hits they are getting
right.
are going places that are not in the park.
Right. Slugging percentage in that comparison they did was the only other stat in there, and they're pretty close. It was 385 in 1970. It's 399 this year. So I mean it's close enough. It's 14 1,000ths of a
And there was a lot more mustaches in the 70s, and God knows guys probably had stuff on the mustache.
Between the stashes they're starting to get into the mullets. It was the beginning.
The froze.
Froze. There's a lot of stuff that was all part of that.
You could hide a lot of stuff in there. Yeah.
A can of something in the front.
Exactly. So,
I still think it would be nice if the Necro boys were still around and ask them how they did it for all these years.
Sure. And they'll tell you Vaseline probably.
You said Necro, right?
Necro.
Okay.
Yeah. Phil Necro. N-I-E.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
Yes.
The Necro boys.
Yes. Which
the Necro boys, as opposed to the Menendez boys.
Right. That's what we mean. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
We'll have them on another time, but that's
they'll be on later.
A different podcast.
Towards the end of the season, we'll have them on. But
that's our other podcast called "Out of the Trunk and Into the River."
Yes.
Well, so what do we want to talk about? The state of the Mets or the state of the state of the Mets? To me, is just kind of like they're in a
status quo.
They won yesterday.
They're rolling along. They don't have as many games.
They win, they lose. They win, they lose. They win, they lose. They made up a bunch. I mean, they played 18 games in 17 days. So they made up a bunch of games. James McCann's coming around. He had a 3-run home run last night. He had a good June too. He's hitting 286 for June, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs. 506 slugging percentage and 840 OPS, but the Nationals just have the Mets number. It's and they're getting closer. I mean, they're only 3 games back, and Kyle Schwarber is on fire. I mean, what's up with this guy? He versus the Mets so far this season, he's 11 for 32, a 344 average, 7 home runs, 11 RBIs, and 1.364 OPS.
That's right, and 4 saves.
And he's got 4 saves too. Exactly. It's amazing, this guy. But now they lost on Monday. Their bullpen's getting a little taxed. Miguel Castro specifically, he's become a walk machine. So I don't know. Do you think he's overworked? That's my opinion. I mean, they brought the game back on Monday 5-4. They got it within a run, and then in the bottom of the 8th, he gives up a 3-run home run to Ryan Zimmerman. What do you think? Overworked. Throwing too much, coming into too many games. Maybe needs a week or 2 off at a time.
I don't know. Like, how do you look? We talk about the analytics, right? And we talk about managers not managing with the gut, not going with the hot hand, not going with their instincts. That only works if you have good instincts, right? So, even if you get a little bit of leeway that way, and again, I don't know if anyone on this podcast, probably especially John and I, since we're Met fans, trust the current manager of the New York Mets to make a whole lot of good decisions. So
we've both been pretty adamant about the fact that we believe the Mets are winning in spite of him.
Yeah. So are we trusting that guy to make the decision about, let's put him in until he fails? Does he have to fail twice?
Right.
The end result is poor either way. So
right. Well, you know what? I mean, the hitting has obviously been an issue. It seems to be coming around now. Maybe Spider Tack and all that did have something to do with it. We'll see. But here are some stats.
How many kids are going to be named Spider Tack?
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
I may change my last name and have another.
That's right.
Hopefully a girl.
Change it to call her Spider.
A girl named Spider.
Well, I mean, the middle name could be Tack.
It's for a great kid story.
Spider Tack Minetti.
Spider Tack Pete. Oh, I thought your last name was Pete. Your first name was Radio.
Radio, right? Exactly.
Radio.
But that's why I go. Hey, Radio, come here. No, but between Chili Davis and Hugh Quattlebaum, the two batting coaches.
Say that 3 times fast.
Hugh Quattlebaum, yeah, exactly.
What'd you call me?
We're not talking about Donnie Stevenson here. He's out the window. But
listen to me, Hugh Quattlebaum.
The runs per game is up with Hugh Quattlebaum. It was 3.17 runs per game with Chili Davis. It's 3.76 runs per game with Hugh Quattlebaum. So that's a huge difference, right?
It's a slow climb.
I mean, 2 of the best names in the history of sports, though.
But
although one sounds like a really cool player, and the other one sounds like his accountant.
Exactly. Hugh Quattlebaum is Chili Davis's accountant.
I would hope so.
I'll
have the Chili Davis on a Quattlebaum.
With a side of grilled Quattlebaum, please.
With a side of Louis Rojas fries.
With a side of Mazzilli mozzarella sticks.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. But they were hitting to a 240 average with Chili Davis. Not great, but a 240 average. You know what their overall average is since Hugh Quattlebaum has been their batting coach?
Same.
222. It went down. Went down. And their OPS went down as well. Not much, but it went down. They were 11th in the league in average. Now they're 29th in the league. So, yeah, it was definitely Chili Davis, right?
Yeah.
That was
well, again, but have they done anything significantly different as far as either winning a lot more or losing a lot more? No. They just keep rolling along. So eventually you think the bottom's going to fall out on that.
Either the bottom has to fall out or they have to pull it together. It's one or the other.
They're rolling along at a rate that's going to keep them. I mean, they're fortunate they're in the division they're in.
Oh, yeah. They'd be in 3rd or 4th place in any other division.
And they're playing very well at home. I think they're 12 games over 500 at home.
Yeah, they're 24 and 11 at home.
Yeah, half a dozen, I think, under, and they're pretty far below 500 against over 500 teams, which to me is almost a seriously telling stat. I think about another month, maybe by the end of July, that will be more, will mean, at least to me, will mean a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right now, it could be a series here or a series there, right? They're 10 and 17 or something.
We're talking about how great the Mets are doing. Or how they're doing fairly well.
That's it. They're not doing great, but they're good enough.
The difference between, and we're talking about how potentially, Aaron Boone's going to be fired. The Mets and Yankees have the same amount of wins. The Yankees have 4 more losses. Well, so, I mean, that's the difference in perception, And I agree with that assessment. I think the Mets are doing exactly what I thought they would be doing.
Well, look at it this way. Look at what the outlook on the Mets season was supposed to be, and the outlook on the Yankee season. That's where the difference is.
I think they were both predicted to do pretty well. I mean, I think a lot of people thought the Mets, Phillies, Nationals, Braves would all be right there, and guess what? They're all pretty much right there. I mean, the Braves have been somewhat disappointing, but I think that the National League East is a little bit more. There's a lot of teams just kind of muddling around 500. Which is helping the Mets' cause right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm surprised the Braves are. I'm happy, but they're not where I thought they were going to be. Especially coming off of what they did last year.
Now with the
last season.
with the news that Syndergaard may not even be back this year. If he is, it's late in the season, and Carrasco working his way back. Some of the starting issues. Do you think it's worth for the Mets to trade for like Jose Barrios or at that? I mean, that seems to be the name that's been going around. Trying to get Barrios.
Don't know anything about him, so that doesn't mean much. But he's obviously not particularly good. I don't know. Who is he? Where does he pitch? I have no idea.
Yeah,
it's not a name that strikes fear in opposing batters.
I think we're going a little deep into the Mets rumor. You have to go at least 3 Twitter pages deep.
Let me say it like this.
Question is,
let me say it like this: trade for somebody, get another.
Should they bring in
about
another
Barrios
pitcher?
or anything like that? Yeah,
you can never have enough pitching.
Never have enough pitching.
Don't give up any young prospects or any of your. They have
a lot of really good prospects. They really do. They actually are one of the better farm systems right now, and they're
doing what they're doing without those guys, right?
Yep.
So anything you get back and whatever, just assume Syndergaard's gone for the year, just for the sake of argument. Carrasco should be back, right? He was supposed to be back a couple weeks ago, I think, or a month ago, or
it could be
so. Anything you get from him is a bonus. Now,
I think he's going to start throwing soon. So yeah,
if he comes back and he doesn't help you out, or you got to give him a little bit of time and all that, then you look to pick up whoever it is. Right. But right now, again, don't panic. Don't give away the store. Don't make a stupid move if you don't have to.
Exactly.
Now
on the flip side, over to the Bronx.
Yankee land.
There's
trouble brewing in Yankee land.
There's trouble brewing. Did you see Cashman's statement before yesterday's game? He said this is not an Aaron Boone problem. And he said, if we fall like a stone, then we have to regroup and reassess. But it's not an Aaron Boone problem.
I agree with him. It's a Brian Cashman problem. Because he has not been able to get the pitching the Yankees need. Look, their batting has been down. But, all of a sudden tonight they're resting Aaron Judge against Ohtani. But, by the way, here's an update. The Yankees scored 7 runs in the first inning.
Yeah, they're kicking the crap out of the Angels.
Ohtani only got 0.2 innings, and Judge isn't even in the lineup. But here's what makes – to Boone's credit, they finally have a lineup that is somewhat consistent and working. Now, Voit is flipped for Judge tonight. But here's the guy who drives the Yankees. His average was like 250 2 weeks ago, and now he's hitting 275. He's got 3 RBIs, and his on-base percentage went from 322 to 350, and his slugging's up to 380. It's DJ LeMahieu.
Right.
And Gary Sanchez is instead of hitting 180, he's hitting 236 and starting to connect with the ball a little bit. And Stanton's starting to hit the ball occasionally. And then at the bottom of their lineup, which I've been begging them to do, is they've been moving Andahar and what's his name down in the lineup, so they don't have that bottom of the lineup drop off. Right. Now tonight, Urshela's not playing. So they have Urshela out of the lineup and Judge out of the lineup, and they score 7 runs. They've scored 17 runs now in 2 games, and we're only 1 inning through this game.
Right. Well, let me.
They have 7
runs. They have 7 runs so far on 3 hits.
Right.
7 runs.
Well, the first 3 guys. Ohtani walked the first 3 guys.
Yeah.
So the next Babe Ruth, is maybe didn't like pitching under the bright lights of the Bronx so much today.
That may be the case.
But this resting of you can't be resting Aaron Judge when you're coming out of when you got swept by the Red Sox. These guys have to be playing. Why Gio's not playing? I just don't get it. But
maybe it's too hot. He needs a day off.
But this is the problem. They just it. Well, the analytics say this. You got to keep guys in the lineup.
Yeah.
The analytics would have had Reggie Jackson sitting, in the World Series in the game that he hit 3 home runs.
Right.
So, well, and by the way, ridiculous. The analytics have you 7.5 games back.
Right.
To me, that's the strongest argument against it. Yeah. Whatever the calculation process is, it ain't working.
Right.
Here's my thing with Aaron Boone. I didn't want him to get rid of Girardi, but Girardi's too old school. You need a guy who's friends with these young kids and can, whatever. I don't know. Who do you get who do you bring in that's better than Aaron Boone? Who's available that is going to be a better influence on this team than Boone?
I don't know. Maybe you bring.
Are you going to bring Buck Showalter back?
Bring Buck back.
Talk about old school. He's not going to put up with any fucking bullshit.
Right.
I would like that, but I don't think that's going to help anything. The problem is the Yankees over the course of the last 3 or 4 years, with the exception of Garrett Cole, have not been able to pull the trigger on getting starting pitchers. And this year they let their second best pitcher go, who's back in Japan. They've had incredible problems with injuries. They don't have the depth. And I'm going to go on record as saying something that a lot of people don't agree with. Re-signing Aroldis Chapman was a bad move, right? Because it's not allowing them to get somebody else into that role. Chapman can be wonderful at certain spots, but he has proven to be less than great in the postseason. So that's tying up money there right now. The Yankees are just not – the old George Steinbrenner would have kept getting pitchers. And so they nibbled around the edges. Well, this guy just, is 63 and just came off Tommy John surgery, but he had a Cy Young back in 87. So let's get him. And then, this is the problem with the Yankees. They keep following this old school idea that they can get one or two sluggers and have mediocre pitching and win, and they can't. And that's the problem. And that's a Brian Cashman, not an Aaron Boone issue. That's a Cashman-Steinbrenner issue.
You're right.
And is the time for Cashman to be gone? What has Cashman done since their last World Series? What has he really done?
Not a whole lot.
He signed Giancarlo Stanton to one of the worst contracts, and I would argue he's probably one of the most underachieving big signings that they've ever had. And he got Garrett Cole.
And
other than that,
Jacoby Ellsbury. Come on,
right.
that was.
Well, I'm talking about positive things here.
Yeah. The Yankees seem to something that the Mets often fall prey to is there's this long list of things that need to go right, and somehow the Yankees seem to almost always get more of them right. There are always young players who turn into superstars overnight, and there's always seems to be whether it's a bullpen pitcher or a starting guy who kind of comes out of nowhere, like a Herman, let's say, and just does so much better than expected. They're really not getting that this year. I think they don't have guilty of playing to the team that they are, and I think you're right. That falls on Brian Cashman for not putting enough tools on the field.
Well, the other thing that the Yankees did back in the day was they had the guys that really showed up out of their farm system, the homegrown talent, but they always supplemented them with the Luis Sohos of the world, with the Chuck Knoblauchs of the league. Always were, and yeah, you could say, Odor might fall into that category, but he's not quite the player that some of those other guys were. They've always had the guys, the veteran guys who can come in and do what they needed to do and exceed expectations and fill those holes both defensively and offensively around the superstar.
You're absolutely right. And you know who has that going on now?
The Mets.
Yeah. And a guy like Odor was not brought here because we need somebody. I mean, yes, we need somebody at that position, but it wasn't to necessarily fill a hole with a guy that you were going to pencil in every day and go, we know we're good. He was kind of a project.
And here's my question. Here's my question to the Yankees. Okay, as you let every night on SportsCenter, I watch Mike Tauchman make another great catch in the outfield, and is it Aaron Boone or is it Brian Cashman that still has Brett Gardner and Clint Frazier starting?
It's Brian Cashman.
So maybe the problem isn't Aaron Boone, because quite honestly, in today's baseball, I understand the necessity but there's 4 or 5 managers that seem to be that are game changers in today's baseball. I don't think it's as big a position as it used to be. I think that right now it's player management. It's how do you keep these players happy,
right?
And the Yankees, I think they're holding on to a lot of the potential for some of these guys, and they're in the middle of their careers now.
Or at the end,
they're in the middle of their careers, and so I mean, I love Brett Gardner. Don't get me wrong, but at some point, the Yankees, Bernie Williams decided to retire because the Yankees weren't going to re-sign him, and Bernie Williams was playing at a much higher level than Brett Gardner is right now.
Right.
Same thing with Jorge Posada. There's a lot of players that the Yankees decided to get rid of when they deemed them past their prime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gardner, Frazier, even Gleyber Torres. You're also going to miss out on an opportunity to get anything for any of these guys. So, like I said, obviously I'm a big DJ LeMahieu fan. I think Luke Voigt is going to be a good player for years to come.
Yeah.
Obviously,
certainly looks that way.
Obviously Aaron Judge is the superstar of this team. But other than that, if trading one of these so-called superstars to get somebody else, especially pitching, do it. Ronald Torreyes, who was, battling with Gleyber Torres for the shortstop position, I bet his numbers are just as good as Gleyber Torres, and he's a better defensive shortstop. When are we gonna admit that Gleyber Torres is not the next Didi Gregorius?
Right.
He's not.
Right. See, that's what I mean. That who is that? Who is the Didi Gregorius on this year's teams?
Well, I think Andujar has more upside, and I think Gio Urshela has more upside. Now, Andujar was a mediocre third baseman who can't play the outfield, so his defense, and he's in left field tonight. It's always, but Lou Piniella couldn't catch fly balls either, but he was a pretty good offensive threat.
Right.
So you have to make those trade-offs. I think Gio Urshela is a great third baseman defensively who has he looks at times like he can actually hit the ball off major league pitchers.
But he hasn't put it all together consistently.
He hasn't put it all together since 2019. So this is, but these other guys, we're getting no production out of the outfield. There's just no production out of the outfield.
So here's
every once in a while, Clint Frazier connects on a home run, but other than that, he's hitting 186.
Right.
Yeah.
He's hitting 186. His on base percentage is just at 300. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So here's the question: if you're Aaron Boone, what do you do? Do you start doing something to try and change the fortunes of this team, or do you carry on? And if things continue, I mean, if you do something and it works, then they can't fire you, right?
Right.
If you do something and it doesn't work, and they go, well, you're not playing, managing by the book, so to speak, and it's not working, so you get fired anyway. Or do you just sit and wait, and if the Yankees don't catch up or go anywhere, you may get fired anyway? Like, why not just make a move? Why not just go, okay, we're going old school for a while?
But what is that move? Because look, right now, Domingo Germán, who has already given up 3 runs in 2 innings. But this is what I thought the Yankees pitching would do. I also thought that the Yankees would be capable of scoring 6, 7, 8 runs a game.
Yeah.
What is that move? I don't know.
That move could be a series of little things, like who's not playing tonight that you were just talking about.
Right.
Put them in.
Right.
These are our starters. These are the guys we're going to live and die with.
Yep.
I don't care about the matchups. I don't, this and that. I'm maybe going to leave a guy in for an extra inning if he's pitching well, or maybe even an extra 2 outs if he's a reliever, instead of yanking him after 1 inning. It doesn't have to. There's no grandiose move. It's a series of little things that all might have a small. So why not? I mean, if you're Aaron Boone, why not just go for it? You're failing right now. By the numbers, you're failing. So why not do something?
If Aaron Judge is turning into a guy who looks like he's going to have to be a DH, then you've got some tough decisions to make. But
if you're not, now the flip side of that is if you're not going to get any help from Brian Cashman,
right,
and you're going to be saddled with this team, then what do you do then? Well, how many guys can I, how many DHs can I carry on the bench? Because I don't want them behind the plate, or I don't want them in right field.
Right. And imagine a situation. I mean, the Yankees don't have a consistent center fielder because what's his name's hurt, Aaron Hicks, which is a bit, he's another guy that had a down year before he got hurt, but had the potential of being, he kind of reminded me a little bit of Bernie Williams at times, but a solid center fielder. Then you got Judge and Wright. At some point, you got to decide, all right, what makes our team the best, both from an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint. And maybe that means that Giancarlo Stanton's got to play left field. Aaron Judge has to play right field. Okay. And that maybe puts Voit as a DH, moves LeMahieu to first, gets somebody else. I don't know, but I think DJ LeMahieu has played like every position except the outfield this year. And it's hurting his defense.
Let me ask you a question. Are they a better team with Torres at short and LeMahieu at second, or LeMahieu at short and Torres at second?
Well, LeMahieu is not a shortstop.
I know, but that's my point. So what are they? Are they what's the better choice there?
I think
Torres, they're not going to do that. But
yeah, I mean, LeMahieu's not a first baseman either. He's a second baseman.
And you're not paying him all that money to be a good first baseman. You're paying him all that money to be a great hitting, excellent.
The common sense is that is Voit at first, LeMahieu at second, Torres at third, and Urshela or Torres at shortstop and Urshela at third. That's the line. That's the infield that you would think would make the most sense, both from an offensive and defensive production standpoint. But Torres looks uncomfortable at shortstop, and Voigt's been out a lot, and he's trying to catch back up. But I think that's where it's going to settle for whatever reason. And look, I think he's an interesting player, but his numbers aren't all that great. Is Boone is determined to have Odor in the lineup, and that's where everything gets shuffled around.
But there's another question: is it Boone or is it Cashman that's determined to have Odor?
Do you think Cashman really is paying that much attention to? I don't think so. I don't think
depends
Cashman.
on what the analytics say. If the analytics say you have to have Odor in the lineup, well, it's not just Cashman. I'm just saying anybody in the analytics department. If they say Odor needs to be in this lineup, you got to put him in the lineup.
Well, did the analytics show that Odor is hitting 208?
Yeah, see,
his on-base percentage is 280.
I don't see how the analytics can show that. This guy isn't a star who came over here.
I don't think it's analytics. I think it's Boone. I think he likes him in there because he can catch the ball.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, as far as Torres goes, where's he going to be comfortable playing, if not shortstop?
Well, they had him practicing in the outfield. They had him playing second base as well.
So I mean, those are not the best answers. So leave him at shortstop and let him get comfortable.
Yeah.
And look, he's not an error machine, right?
No. And if he's hitting 308 and has 35 home runs, and I don't care about the occasional error.
Yeah.
Then you put Odor in, in the late innings.
He's not booting one every game or every other game or something like that. He doesn't look comfortable. So let him get comfortable there. How do you get better at a position if you don't play it?
Right.
It doesn't happen in practice. It happens in the games.
Exactly.
We're all experts. I think they should hire us.
Well, absolutely.
I think they should hire Harry, and then
I think a lot of this stuff is a lot of what we're saying is stuff that other people are saying. The eye test doesn't work. It doesn't work, and they need 2 more starters.
Right.
And their bullpen has been beat to crap already.
Yep.
Chad Green's arm is going to fall off. He's another guy. One night he looks like the second coming of Sparky Lyle, and then the next night he's given up 4 hits and 3 runs in half an inning. So they're relying too much on their bullpen. They're not. And look, if Cole continues to go down, then they have no chance. They're 1 deep at the starting pitcher position right now. There was a little bit of hope early in the year, but injuries have just decimated them.
Yep.
And they did not go out and get the pitchers they needed to do. And that's the difference back in the day. The old George Steinbrenner, there wouldn't have been – he would have won that free agent over to make them come play in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. And where I see this Yankees team going is where the Knicks are going. Because what's going to happen is that they're going to lose their ability to be able to get people to come and play for this organization, especially if they're going to, be in 7.5 games, 9 games, or whatever out at the All-Star break.
Right.
Yeah, and they might get some of those aging guys who think, oh, if we can put it together and it's the Yankees and maybe I can get myself a ring or whatever. But younger guys that are, getting to the end of that first career, these future stars. You're right. I think that New York is going to, the Bronx is going to end up being a place where they're not necessarily going to want to go because they don't feel like they're going to have a chance to win.
We talk about their farm system, and the Yankees forever have had a great farm system. But where are the arms coming out of that farm system?
Yep.
Where are they? Where are the guys going and finding these arms in Cuba, in Mexico, in South America, or in the Dominican Republic? Where are they? Where is the next El Duque? This is what the Yankees always excelled at, is getting those second, third, and fourth guys to fill out their starting rotation that put in quality games. Their pitching is unpredictable. It's unpredictable.
It is.
And if your so-called ace and the second best quote-unquote pitcher in baseball, now granted, he had 1 bad game. He's had 1 bad game since he's been a Yankee.
Right.
So I'm going to give him a break. But
that's nice of you.
But they need to ride it. They can't afford to lose those games when he starts. They can't.
Speaking of unpredictability on the mound in Yankee Stadium, what'd you think of the episode with the Angels pitcher on Monday night?
Elaborate, because I'm not sure.
Lost his lunch at the back of the mound.
Oh yeah. My sister was at the game and sent me a video of that. She said that they brought the sawdust out to cover it up.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, soak up that moisture.
Yeah,
Didn't Justin Bieber do that on stage? So he survived.
I'm sure he did.
I guess the guy will be fine.
At least he didn't piss on the mound. Like what's her name? Didn't what's her name piss her pants at a concert? The girl from the Black Eyed Peas.
Yes, Fergie had a little
Fergie.
Yeah, bladderary.
Look, it happens.
She lost her.
I'm sure Babe Ruth got up to the plate many times and puked, and then hit a home run.
Well, actually, I think there's I forget who it was in the NFL who said a lot of guys change the bottom part of their uniform at halftime because they're just out there and amped up and getting hit, and they, stuff comes out, stuff leaks out. So
stuff leaks out. Just a little.
I think he said if it's cold, it feels good for a few minutes.
This week's TMI brought to you by
professional football players.
Brought to you by Depends. Yes, even athletes can wear them.
There you go. And speaking of things that depend, did you see the latest on Trevor Bauer?
Nope.
He's facing allegations of sexual assault. He apparently had I'm going to elaborate because it's a very long story, but he apparently had a what's the word I'm looking for? Consensual sexual encounter with a young woman that
she then called it harassment.
She drove a great distance she got in touch with him, told him what she wanted him to do to her sexually, drove a great distance. He obliged, and now she's saying that he was forceful with her and sexually assaulted her. So, and that's all of that's alleged. So, I mean, whatever comes of it, but that's the latest. Trevor Bauer is indeed facing allegations of sexual assault. The Pasadena Police Department said the case could be turned over to the DA's office as soon as Wednesday, so this article was written last night, so as soon as today. So there you go. Interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens with that, but anyway, that's pretty much baseball.
Well, actually, I just wanted to mention one thing. Look, it doesn't mean anything necessarily right now, but the team, which I believe is at the top of the American League East, the Red Sox.
That would be the Sox, yeah.
Had a pitcher named Chris Sale.
Yes, yeah.
Who threw, I guess, was it this afternoon? Mm-hmm. Through a little, faux batting practice, or what do they call it? Live session or whatever it is.
Right.
94-95, along with some breaking balls. And so apparently he was looking pretty good. I think, what did Alex Cora say? Eye-opening or something like that. I forget whether. Yeah, Alex Cora said it was eye-opening. So that could be even more if he comes back. I guess he's going to go for a minor rehab assignment, and then probably is expected to be back with the Sox relatively soon. So more woes for the Yankees. So, of course, as we know, with Chris Sale, he does not have the first half of the season to wear him down, right? He usually tires and sucks in the second half. Well, now it's all second half is the first half. So
give it 4 or 5 more years. I'm sure the Yankees will sign him.
Yeah.
He'll have a couple years left in the tank. Then you can get him.
I'll tell you what, though. We're coming to the All-Star break, right? What is it? A couple days away here.
Another week and.
Well, the voting ends tomorrow. I think
tomorrow. Yeah.
I mean, the team of the first half of the season. How about those Milwaukee Brewers?
Yeah.
Name a Brewer.
Christian Yelich.
Yeah. I mean, they are.
Ryan Braun still on that team?
Yeah.
He's in Milwaukee. What he's doing?
Actually
Paul Molitor?
Paul Molitor, yeah.
Braun is their weight training coach.
There you go. Exactly.
He doesn't get tested anymore.
No. Milwaukee's having a great year. Absolutely. The Giants, first to get to 50. They were the last time I saw it the other day. I forget the exact year, but it's been a very long time since the Giants were the first team to get to 50.
Look at where they were last year versus this year.
Yeah. It's
That's
amazing to
pretty-
turn around.
Here's an interesting stat. I guess batting average doesn't really mean anything because the person who is leading the Brewers in batting average is Luis Urias, and he's hitting 247. But he also has 46 RBIs.
46
and
RBIs.
61 hits.
There you go.
So, yeah.
I just figured I'd wear the jersey and cap of the team that's in last place in the entire league today. So has the least amount of wins.
Making us here in Denver feel a little better about ourselves.
Exactly. So, what's making you feel better about yourselves in Denver? The fact that the Diamondbacks are 11 games or 12 games behind the Rockies, or the fact that I wore the jersey tonight?
No, I don't think anybody here cares about your jersey.
Exactly. That was a joke. I was kidding. There you go.
What's the temperature in Arizona?
135 degrees, I think. Small Pets actually burst into flames this morning.
Nice.
It's probably not as hot as you think right now.
Well, it's a dry heat, right?
It's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat. You're not sweating when you have a stroke.
Well, you do. You just don't know it because it evaporates instantly.
Unaware. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So anyway, all right. So should we do our top 10? What do you think?
Yeah, that was
104 in Phoenix, by the way.
104 in Phoenix.
Well, so almost as hot as Seattle.
It wasn't much cooler here in Jersey today.
That humidity out there.
And the humidity just sucks. It was literally, I walked outside, I took a step outside, turned around, and walked right back in. It was ridiculous. It's literally soup. You can take a knife and cut your way through the air while you're walking.
My family is actually there in Hershey, Pennsylvania right now.
Oh, okay.
They went away with another family for a little vacation there.
And you stayed back to do the podcast.
Yeah.
Come on, I wanted to see you on remote from
Hershey.
Hershey land.
That was. Here's the thing. Because of school, I can't go.
Right.
I thought about it. If I had more days that I could miss, then I would think about it. And I thought, boy, I could do a remote on my phone from Hershey while I'm going down the water slide. I have to get a different case for my phone, but
the Hershey shoot,
right? Riding the super duper looper and doing
Be careful! Don't call it the Hershey splash.
No, you don't want that.
So, but they were loading the car and getting ready to go. My son he's taking a summer course. He had his final this morning, so they had to wait for that. That took about an hour or so. So they're loading the car, and I'm standing outside on the stoop waiting to wave goodbye. And then my wife's in the car and she's programming the GPS, and then she programs it into her phone to see if they say the same thing. And then she's adjusting some stuff in her backpack. For like 10 minutes, I was standing out on the porch in the car waiting for them to leave. And it was brutal. And I went inside and I was schwitzing.
You were
hot and humid. It was gross. So
you were schwitzing and you didn't have to pay for it. So there you go.
No, I didn't have to pay for it for once. But I just can't imagine. Look, they're all young and fit. I can't imagine me waiting in line for hours to go on the water slide. Soaking wet by the time I get to the entrance to it. So have fun. They'll be gone for a few days. So it's party time in the Minetti house.
Nice.
Which means I might stay up till.
We'll get you out of here early.
11:30.
I might stay up till 11:45 tonight.
The walls are going to be rocking tonight.
Oh yeah, baby! Going to break out the ukulele and
break out the Foghat 8-tracks and get the old speakers out.
Yeah,
set up the old hi-fi.
Have a Jack and Coke and
play
put on
Tiny Bubbles and
put the
Hawaiian shirt on.
That's right.
There you go.
Put on the best of Vixen and go to town.
Best of Vixen.
Hey, I can play drums as well as that girl can.
Hey, she's getting paid to do it still.
Yeah, I know.
Follow it up with a little Saga, and you're good to go.
Yeah, all I need to do is become a drug addict and get in a car crash and kill my best friend, and I could be on that show.
Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah.
Isn't that the formula for behind the radio? What's it called?
Behind the music.
Behind the music.
Behind the music.
Behind the music. Anyway. All right, let's do the top 10.
Top 10.
On that happy note.
So
the point here is
80s prog rock band.
Ladies, I'm all alone for the next couple of days.
All right. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the elaboration. I'm just,
a room full of stuff.
How many ladies are listening to this?
and I know one lady that's not listening because she's seen enough of that stuff in his room. This girl right here.
Yeah.
So.
I've almost gotten her to start punishing me, which was my goal all along.
Marie Kondo.
Does that bring you?
I
Does
think
that
Marie
spark,
Kondo
does
has
that
a-
spark joy?
I think she has a really dark side. Yes,
There
and
you
I
go.
want her to spark some joy on my.
That'd be great if it comes out that Marie Kondo has an S&M club. It's very all the whips are very neatly
Yeah, but
organized.
when she sparks joy, she actually sparks joy.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
All right,
anyway.
we're into
All right.
dark territory now.
There we go. We'll reel back from that just for a moment. This week's top 10 is top 10 closers in Major League Baseball history. Top 10 closers in Major League Baseball history. And of course, it wouldn't be a Get On With It podcast top 10 list if we didn't have 12 people in the top 10. And it's just the way it works out. It's odd every week, but it does. It's not intentional. It just works out that way. So we'll start it out with our number 10. We have a tie for 10, just a two-person tie for 10. We'll start it out with Mr. Hoyt Wilhelm. Hoyt Wilhelm is James Hoyt Wilhelm, to be exact. Nicknamed Old Sarge was his nickname.
He sounds like the neighbor on the Andy Griffith show.
Old Sarge.
Oh, go talk to Hoyt.
Go talk to Hoyt. Old Sarge next door.
Old Sarge.
There you go. He played from 1952 to 1972. He played the Giants, Cardinals, Indians, Orioles, White Sox, Angels, Braves, Cubs, back to the Braves, and finished up with the Dodgers. He's an 8-time All-Star, World Series champion in 54 with the New York Giants. He's a 2-time ERA leader, pitched a no-hitter on September 20th, 1958, when he was a member of the Orioles. He's on the Baltimore Orioles Hall of Fame. He's in Cooperstown, having been inducted in 1985. His win-loss record is 143 and 122. His ERA, career ERA, is 2.52. 1,610 strikeouts and 228 saves.
Not bad for a guy who didn't, I don't think they counted saves during the
they didn't start
early part of his career, and he was a starting pitcher as well as a relief pitcher.
As well as a relief pitcher, exactly.
Kind of, some say the first reliever.
Kind of
exactly.
the first reliever.
Kind of
And the first one, technically, sort of in the Hall of Fame, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And didn't he actually lead, each league 1 year, an ERA or something like that?
I believe he did. I believe he did, yeah.
250 career ERA is great.
Yeah. He's best known for his knuckleball. He's a knuckleball pitcher.
Yeah. He might be certainly the only knuckleballer on our list. But if you put him in the closers list amongst the great closers of all time, I don't think there's any other knuckleballers.
No.
Sutter threw a knuckleball?
He may have. We'll find out. We'll find out very shortly.
We'll find out in B.
We'll find out in B. Yes, we will. So tied for number 10, Mr. Hoyt Wilhelm. And lo and behold, also tied for number 10, Mr. Bruce Sutter. Howard Bruce Sutter, to be, again, exact. Played from 76 to 88. Played with the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Braves. He's a 6-time All-Star. World Series champion in 1982 with the Cardinals. National League Cy Young Award winner in 79. 4-time National League Rolaids Relief Man Award.
That's when it meant something.
That's when it meant something.
Came with a lifetime supply of Rolaids.
Exactly. 5-time National League Saves leader. St. Louis Cardinals number 42 is retired. He's in the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame. Of course, he's in Cooperstown, having been inducted in 2006. That's 2006. His win-loss record is 68 and 71. Career ERA 2.83. 861 strikeouts, 300 saves. That would be Mr. Bruce Sutter, gentlemen.
Is it Sutter or Suter?
Suter. Yeah, it is.
Trying to think.
Suter.
What they used to. I think it was Suter.
It's got like
Suter.
kind of
Sutter. I like Sutter.
It's kind of Suter.
It's spelled Sutter, but I believe it's pronounced
Suter.
Either way, pretty good.
Pretty damn good pitcher. I'm looking for the knuckleballer word here, and I do not see it. So.
No, I think I'm thinking of he was one of the first guys to really throw the split finger fastball, which is just back in the day, it was called a forkball.
Right.
Forkball, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's they call that in the. It's funny in the Nintendo 64, the Major League Baseball 2000. They have both a splitter and a forkball.
There you go.
Every pitcher in that game
dives a little bit more.
Every pitcher in that game throws 4 pitches to varying degrees of what's the word I'm looking for? Quality.
Success.
Yeah. Well, they have their best pitch and their second best pitch. Everybody's got 4 pitches.
Everybody's got 4 pitches.
There's no like 2 or
that's 3 more than most pitchers today.
It can be really frustrating when you do go up against a guy who's got a splitter and a forkball.
Well, now guys have 2 pitches
exactly the same coming in.
Exactly.
Now guys have 2 pitches. They have their spider tack fastball and their non-spider tack fastball.
They have their strikeout pitch and their home run pitch,
right.
And
exactly.
that's it.
And sometimes they're the same pitch. It just depends on where they locate them.
Right.
So,
right. Or look, if you're Mariano, you just throw the cutter.
That's it. Throw the cutter. Done.
And you're the greatest.
Number 10, again, tied for number 10, Mr.
Did I give something away?
No, I don't think so. Nobody's paying attention. Bruce Sutter. There you go. All right. That brings us to number 9. Number 9 is none other than Mr. Jonathan Papelbon. Sorry about that. I had to say that. Jonathan Robert Papelbon, to be exact. Great pitcher, even though he had his issues, especially with Mets fans. But in any event.
Was he the one who did the dance, the little jig, or was that the other Red Sox reliever? Who was the guy who did the little jig when he came out?
Oh, you're talking about
the game?
I think that was Papelbon.
That was Papelbon, yeah.
I always wanted to hit him in the head with a bat, but he was great.
Right. But he played for the Red Sox, the Phillies, and the Nationals. The last 5 years of his career was at the.
Did he go to the series twice with the Red Sox or just once?
He won the World Series with the Red Sox just once in 07. He missed the first one. He missed the first one by.
Missed the first one, won the second one. Then he disappeared. A lot of these newer relievers, they just the Greg Gagne effect. They kind of have these amazing seasons, then they disappear.
Yeah.
Well, Gagne had a couple of good seasons, but
a couple great seasons, and then he was
really
gone.
Great seasons,
and he was gone.
Well, here's some of his stats. He's a 6-time All-Star, World Series champion again in 07 with the Sox. Delivery Man of the Year in 07, but unfortunately that was for Domino's.
Yeah.
But I don't know why that's listed here. But pitched a combined. I can read. Pitched a combined no-hitter on September 1st, 2014. His win-loss record for his career is 41-36. Career ERA is 2.44. 808 strikeouts and 368 saves. Jonathan Robert Papelbon.
I mean, a lot of saves, and he, one of the things that why I had him on my list, because I think I'm the only one who had him on our top 10. He was really, 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 really good in the postseason.
Yeah,
I mean, almost unhittable. I mean, Dennis Eckersley type of unbeatable. So
there you go.
Yeah, kind of a clown, but good relief pitcher nonetheless.
I still remember when he got into when he was on the Nationals, and he got into the fight in the dugout with Bryce Harper. That was priceless, actually.
Because that's the guy you want to fight with is the franchise.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And why are you in the dugout? Just
Exactly. So anyway, number 9, Mr. Jonathan Papelbon. All right.
Papelbon
brings us to number 8. Number 8 is Mr. Goose Gossage, Richard Michael Goose Gossage. He was a member of the. He played from 72 to 94. He was a member of the White Sox, the Pirates, the Yankees twice, Padres, Cubs, Giants, Rangers, Oakland A's, and finished up his career in Seattle with the Mariners. 9-time All-Star, actually played in Japan for a year too, I believe. 9-time All-Star, World Series champ in 1978 with the Yankees. American League Rolaids Relief Man Award in 1978. 3-time American League Saves Leader. He's a Monument Park honoree in Yankee Stadium. He's, of course, in Cooperstown, having been inducted in 2008. His win-loss record is 2,000. Yeah, right. He pitched a lot of games. 124 and 107. His career ERA is just over 3.01. 1,502 strikeouts and 310 saves. Goose Gossage.
Colorado Springs boy. Gossage pitched a lot of innings. It wasn't uncommon for him to come in the sixth and pitch the rest of the game. So, I mean, his saves stats are up there too. And he came in and took over for Sparky Lyle, who I believe was the closer in 77. And then Lyle, became a little bit more of his setup guy. So, I mean, him and the combination of him and Sparky Lyle in 78 was pretty dominant, especially when you had somebody like, Ron Guidry and Mike Torres pitch, giving you nights off because they're pitching complete games. So.
Sure.
Be interesting to see how many of Goose's saves were of the 3-inning, the 3-inning type. Yeah, variety.
Quite a few. I mean, you could tell by his win-loss record. There's so many. He wasn't really. I don't think he was ever a starter. So I mean, the fact that he had that many wins and that many losses means that he was coming into games when they were undecided.
Pitching multiple innings and getting some run support. Yeah, and he was just he was intimidating and dominating at times. And save number anything close to 300 or certainly even a little bit over 300 is pretty darn good. Certainly when you compare him to some of the numbers at the higher end of the list, but I think he had a presence about him. It wasn't just about the saves with him.
No, and I think I struggled with where to put him on this list. If I was to write it again, I'd probably have him a little higher because I think he would have had more saves. The fact that he had 124 wins or something like that.
He had 124 wins. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that tells you that. Had he come in situations where the game wasn't tied or where they weren't losing, when was the last time you saw anybody's top reliever come in when they're losing? I mean, he would come in no matter what.
Right.
And sometimes pitch 3-4 days in a row. So he was a workhorse. In the 70s and 80s, the relief pitchers were a different breed. They were sort of figuring it out still, but they definitely took on a larger load. And I think he would have, easily had 50, 60 more saves if he was used in a later era or even into the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, he would have been used in a different way. So I think there's another guy on the list, which we'll talk about again, doesn't rank up there completely in the top saves of all time. But he pitched so many other games that they just went multiple innings. They were workhorses.
Yeah, and he makes a great get off
the ice cream man.
Yeah, he's going past now.
Can you give me a?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Chocolate eclair.
And Gossage makes a great get off my lawn, old man. Nowadays, he says stuff that you just go, come on, but it's Goose. So
here's a stat. He was respected for his impact in crucial games. He recorded the final out to clinch a division, a league, or a World Series title 7 times. So,
he looks like
he wasn't coming out after
that.
anything.
He wasn't. Yeah, he was coming out. Yeah, no, it wasn't. Not at all. Not at all. His 8 All-Star selections as a reliever were a record until somebody else on this list passed him in 08. But we'll get to that. That's
not Hoyt Wilhelm.
Not Hoyt Wilhelm. No, it was not. It was not old.
Hoyt Wilhelm retired in 07.
This is true. Yeah, he was 124. But
he was great. He pitched with his feet.
He did. Anyway, all right. Number 8, Mr. Goose Gossage. That brings us to number 7, Mr. 7. Number 7 is
Mr. 7.
Mr. 7.
It's always Mr. 7.
It's always Mr. 7 Always Mr. 7.
Mr. 7.
Here's something with that. We have to do something with that.
7.
We have to do something with that.
Is there a club, Top Mr. 7s?
Top 10
Mr. 7s?
Top 10 Mr. 7.
I think it's only been 2 or 3 now, but it's 2 or 3 weeks in a row.
You know what we need to do?
7.
Mr. 7.
When we get done with baseball, we need to put together a Mr. 7 list.
Mr. 7.
Oh, yeah, we'll just go through all the lists.
We'll have an entire team. We'll go, here's our top, 10
top
or
10
12.
Mr. 7s.
Probably a pretty good team,
It's probably going to be a good team.
They're pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So, Mr. 7 this week.
Mr. 7.
Mr. 7 this week is Billy the Kid, William Edward Wagner. Billy Wagner, he played from 95 to 2010. He played for the Astros, the Phillies, the Mets, the Red Sox, and the Braves. He spent the longest amount of time in the beginning of his career with the Astros. And the Mets, he recorded the most years with the club. As far as
his only
the other teams go.
postseason appearances were with the Mets, right?
Only postseason was with the Mets. Yep. 7-time All-Star. He was National League Roll Aids Relief Man of the Year in '99. Pitched a combined no-hitter on June 11, 2003. He's in the Astros Hall of Fame. His win-loss record is 47-40. His career ERA is 2.37. 1,196 strikeouts, just missed 1,200 by a few, and 422 saves.
He was around forever, it seemed like.
Yeah. Mr. 7, Billy the Kid, Billy Wagner.
Mr. 7.
Although he didn't have that long of a career.
No, but it just maybe
But
it was just
seemed longer than it was. Yeah, because he was
seemed
just
longer because I think he played for almost every team.
Yeah. It's like, where's Billy Wagner this year? Oh,
Yeah, this year is, because it was just bouncing around. He was in Houston from 95 to 03. He was in Philadelphia for 2 years, 04 and 05. He was at the Mets for 4, 06 through 09.
Now it doesn't seem that long, does it?
No.
I don't remember him being there for 4 years.
It always
4 years. Well, it wasn't quite
he-
4 years because at the end of the year, they Mets traded him to the Red Sox.
He always seemed to be like he was
And
looked like he was
then-
40 and like throughout his whole career.
Right.
I don't know. He just seemed to be one of those guys. Like, is that Billy? I couldn't tell who he was unless he had his uniform on.
But you know what?
Well,
I
it
would
said Mr. 7 on his back. You had to
Mr.
notice.
7.
I would
Exactly.
think if
7 and 7.
if you ask people, who are how many guys have over 400 saves? Is it?
His name would probably not
8?
come up.
Right, exactly.
There's another guy on this list who's also very. I think we'll talk about that at the end, but I think there's 3 or 4 guys on here who get forgotten.
Sure.
Yeah.
One Wagner's certainly not at the top of that list. There's one guy who I think gets forgotten because he just kind of played out of the spotlight.
Mhm.
But there's a few guys here that have an incredible amount of saves, and you're like, wow, that's surprising to me.
Yeah, you looked right. Wagner was like that for me. I knew his numbers were good, but I didn't know it was that many saves.
Yeah, he had a lot.
No, that's why he's the coveted Mr.
That's
7.
why he gets the Mr. 7 award.
He had
Mr.
just enough saves to get Mr. 7 award.
Mr. 7.
Mr. 7. All right.
All right, who's Mr. 6?
Mr. 7 was Billy Wagner. And
Sir 6.
Number 6. Sir 6. There you go. I
Six.
like that. Sir 6 tonight is Mr. Lee Smith.
What a nut job.
Lee Smith. Lee Arthur Smith. He was.
Who's the guy now with the crooked hat? He reminds me of Lee Smith. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. It'll come to me.
Yeah.
But he played from 1980 to 1997. He played for the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Cardinals, the Yankees.
Most known as a Cub, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, most knows a Cub, yeah.
Yeah.
Yankees, Orioles, Angels, Reds, and Expos. All of those teams, with the exception of the first couple, were 1-year stints, or 1.5, I should say. One of them was 1.5. 7-time All-Star, 3-time Roll Aids Relief Man Award. He won it 3 times, this gentleman. 4-time saves leader. He's in Cooperstown, having been elected just a couple years ago in 2019. 1,022 games pitched. His win-loss record is 71-92. So as far as win-loss goes,
all of these closers, their win-loss is always, some of the best ones have more
stellar.
losses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some of the better ones have a lot more losses. Absolutely. Career ERA 3.03, 1,251 strikeouts, 478 saves.
Yeah, he was around. I mean, he just seemed like every year he was leading the National League in saves. An interesting stat is what these guys would have averaged over their career for 162 game season. And a lot of these guys were all right around 31, 32, 30 saves, and that's just mind-boggling that they all averaged that over the course of their careers. It's he not a great postseason.
No.
I think his ERA was over 10, but he was also an intimidating guy.
He was.
I would not want to face him in the 9th inning.
Not at all. Not at all. No, so there you go. Number 6, Sir 6, Lee Smith. There you go. That brings us to our top 5. Of course, there's 6 in our top 5, but our top 5 is going to kick off with number 5, and it's none other than Mr. Rolly Fingers. Right there. Roland Glenn Rolly Fingers.
Rolly or Raleigh?
Raleigh.
I don't know.
I always said Rolly because his name is Roland.
I know, but I think people called him Raleigh.
Some people called him Raleigh. Some people called him Rolly. I was on the Rolly side.
Some people called him Master 5.
Some people called him. You can call me. What was that commercial? I forget. You can call me Ray, or you can call me Jay. And
you can call me Raleigh, but just don't mess with my.
Just don't mess with my fingers.
Ray J. Johnson of
Ray J. Johnson. Yeah.
And look,
here's the Ray J. Johnson.
You can call me Rolly. Well, you can call me Raleigh, but you doesn't have to call me Fingers.
There's definitely not a position in baseball with that tops closers as far as best mustaches.
Oh,
he's number one in the mustache.
Oh well, yeah. He's but there's somebody else on this list that's damn close to him.
Oh yeah. Well, Gossage was pretty close.
Goose is in the top 5 for mustache.
There you go.
Mustache closers, which will be our list.
Mustachioed closers.
Our list next week.
Exactly.
Raleigh Fingers. How did you get your handlebar mustache to say it that way? Spider tack.
Spider tack. Exactly. It just does a little of this and right on the ball. Nobody even knew. There you go. So anyway, played from 68 to 85. Played for the Oakland A's.
68. Wow.
68 to 1985. He played for the Oakland A's, the Padres, and finished up his career in Milwaukee with the Brewers. 7-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion from 72 through 74. Of course, those were all with the Oakland A's. American League MVP in 81, American League Cy Young Award winner in 81. And that was when he was with the Brewers. That was when the Brewers were in the American League. World Series MVP in 74, 4-time Rolaids Relief Man Award, 3-time Major League Baseball saves leader. His number 34 is retired with Oakland and with the Brewers. He's in the Athletics Hall of Fame. He's on the American Family Field Walk of Fame. He is in the Milwaukee Brewers Wall of Honor. Of course, he's in Cooperstown, having gone in 1992. Win-loss record, 114 and 118. There you go. That's another one there.
And he was given the key to Sheboygan one year.
He was given the key to Sheboygan, absolutely. Career ERA is 2.90. 1,299 strikeouts, 341 saves. Raleigh
There's a lot of decisions. Was it 114, 118?
114 and 118.
So I was saying a lot of these guys
230 plus
232
decisions.
232 decisions. Yeah.
That seems outrageous.
And if you took a black and white photo of him, he'd look like a bare knuckle brawler from the 1903. You know,
it looked. I always thought of Snidely Whiplash.
There you go.
From Snidely Whiplash
from the Dudley Do-Right cartoon.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wasn't he also on the Wacky Racers?
I think so. Yeah.
He is.
He was also a closer, actually.
He was. He was the best cartoon closer of all time.
Best cartoon closer of all time.
Whiplash. That's right.
Snidely Whiplash.
He beat out Yosemite Sam, but just play a little.
Yosemite Sam was really good for a couple of years there. He really was.
Yeah, but
he proved that cutter like nobody's business.
Absolutely.
But then he became a setup man.
Then he was a setup guy. Yeah, exactly.
Nobody. It was. They just couldn't get him to keep his guns.
That one game, he was knocked out when Bugs Bunny was playing every single base, every single position. That was a bad game for him.
Well, anybody got a hit off if he'd shoot him.
Well, it was the accidental shooting of Daffy Duck when one of his 6-shooters went off and he was on the mound.
Exactly, but that was when his bill went up on the back of his head, right?
Yeah, just spun around his head and went up behind him like that.
He was fine. He just hit from the other side of the plate.
He just went the other way. Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, all right. Number 5, Raleigh Fingers. There you go. Brings us to number 4. Number 4 is Johnny Franco. John Anthony Franco, to be exact. Brooklyn-born Johnny Franco. Pitched from 84 to 2005. He pitched for the Reds for 5-6 years at the beginning of his career, and then he went to the Mets for 15 years. He was on the Mets from 90 through 04, and then he closed his career out with the Houston Astros for a year in 05. 4-time All-Star, 2-time National League Rolaids Relief Man Award, 3-time National League Saves Leader, once with the Reds and twice with the Mets. New York Mets Hall of Fame he's in. He pitched 1,119 games. His win-loss record is 90 and 87. His career ERA is 2.89, 975 strikeouts, 424 saves. John Franco.
I mean, his numbers are better than maybe what my personal history of him is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
He just did it for a long time, and again, there's so many similarities with the parity of the win-loss record and saves per. I mean, a lot of these guys had very similar numbers. I just think some of them came at a later era where they were focused more on actually being put in situations where they were up for a save, as opposed to just closing out a game.
Right.
But Franco was more than just a closer, though. I mean, he was one of the last guys who could pitch more than one inning. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And he was really good. I mean, what is he? 4th all time in saves?
Fifth all time on the list.
Fifth.
Yeah,
he's 5th on the list. Yeah, I think he's fifth. I think he's 5th all time.
He's number 4 in our hearts.
Number
John
4.
and look, and he was kind of the right guy for the Mets.
Yeah.
As far as the persona goes, I mean, it's Johnny fucking Franco. I mean,
he didn't look like a closer. Him and Billy Wagner both did not look like closers.
But he had the attitude, and
he's like the John Leguizamo of closers.
Well, he left. He was for a few years in there. He was more of a setup man for the Mets too.
Setup man. That's what I'm saying. He was
towards the end of his career with the Mets. That was because they brought in Armando Benitez. So he wasn't. So Benitez was closing, and then after that. That whole debacle. That's when Billy Wagner went to the Mets. But yeah, he was a setup man for a while towards the end. But he was the closer, premier closer for the Mets for many years.
If you think about
good 10, 11, 12 seasons.
Yeah, great Mets or guys that personified the team. Franco's right up on the near the top of that list at least.
Exactly.
Yeah, good but not great.
Exactly. There you go. And there you have it. All right. Number 4 on our list tonight.
Lousy mustache, though.
Lousy, yeah, not
Franco's mustache.
It's typical Brooklyn mustache.
It was almost. Yeah, it was a bad mustache.
It was bad. So,
it's a 90s mustache.
Yeah,
sorry, John. I know now he's not coming on, but
that's right.
He won't
be on now.
Yeah,
John's got to go on, but then they said my mustache sucks, so fuck them.
He'll still come on.
He'll still come on. It's Johnny Franco.
Come on, he's no Buttercup. He's John Franco.
It's John Franco. He's born in Brooklyn. He'll come on. He knows the thing. He knows it. So anyway.
All right.
Number 4, John Franco. All right. We have a tie at number 3. Our first pitcher, our first closer at number 3 is Mr. F. Rod.
K-Rod. I don't know where they got the K from.
F. Rod.
Because he was a strikeout.
I want to give him F. Rod.
What's his middle name?
F. Rod. Jose.
Right,
that would be J-Rod.
Yeah.
K-Rod. Francisco Rodriguez. K-Rod or Frankie. 2 of his closest friends.
I guess it has to rhyme, right? It has to rhyme.
K-Rod. Well, no, it had to rhyme with A-Rod, so it was K-Rod. It's a strikeout, so that's where you get the K from. So it's K-Rod. He pitched for the Angels. He played from 2002 till 2017. He pitched for the Angels, the Mets for 3 years. The Brewers, the Orioles, went back to the Brewers for a couple of years, finished up in Detroit for a couple of years.
Most time with the Angels, though.
With the 7 years with the Angels he spent. Every other team was 2 or 3 years. Again, Mets second longest.
He won a title with the Angels.
Yep. He did.
Yeah, right.
He
did.
Yeah.
He was on that team. That's the only World Series the Angels ever won.
Yeah, in 2002. Yeah. 6-time All-Star, World Series champion 2002 with the Angels, 2-time American League World Relief Man Award, 3-time American League Saves Leader, and he set the Major League single-season saves record at 62. And there you go. That's to his credit. Win-loss record, 52 and 53.
They're all right around 500.
All right around 500, all of them, yeah. Career ERA, 2.86, 1,142 strikeouts, and 437 saves.
437
saves.
His numbers are pretty impressive, and his ERA was pretty impressive, too, especially for somebody who did it as long as he did. But
he's a guy that came to your mind before you started kind of doing research?
Well, he was.
Did you say, boy, he's really kind of in the top 5? He didn't for me.
I thought he would be struggling to get on my list, and then I looked at his numbers, and I was like, wow. Yeah. But he's the one guy who I think goes unnoticed.
Totally. K-Rod goes totally unnoticed. Absolutely.
I don't know when he'll be eligible, because didn't he just – when was his last year?
His last year was 2017, so he's eligible after this year.
I mean, he should. He's gonna, but I bet he's gonna be a borderline Hall of Famer, though. I don't.
He
won't be a sure shot.
I don't think he's getting in first ballot, but I think second or third he'll
But he deserves it. I mean, he was really dominant, especially those years with the Angels. He was really, really, really good, and he was very good after that as well. But just dominant for that period of time.
This is true.
And he pitched, a few seasons less than
a
couple guys that are ahead of him, at least as far as the number of saves.
I think he averaged like 34 saves, 35 saves a year.
He had 16-year career, and he's number 4 on the all-time list. So, but
that 162 save season certainly helped him.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's right. That's
1/8 of his
seasons for most other relievers.
Exactly.
Most other Hall of Fame
who had a good year and they had 30 plus saves. He's like, I did that.
The funny thing is the Angels only won 58 games that year.
Oh, that's funny. But anyway, yes, Mr. Francisco Jose Rodriguez Sr., K-Rod, or F-Rod. I like F-Rod.
I like F-Rod.
I like F-Rod.
Or Fraud.
Fraud, exactly. Or Crod. K-Rod, anyway. Tied for number 3. Also tied for number 3, another stash. Mr. Dennis Eckersley, or Eck, as he's known by his to his closest friends. He pitched from 75 to 98. 75 to 98.
Yeah.
He pitched for the Indians, the Red Sox twice, the Cubs, the Oakland A's, the Cardinals, and the second stint with the Red Sox was wrapping up his career in 1998. 6-time All-Star, World Series champion in 1989. Of course, that was with the Oakland A's. American League MVP in 92, American League Cy Young Award winner in 92, ALCS MVP in 1988, 2-time American League Rolaids Relief Man Award winner, 2-time Major League Saves leader, pitched a no-hitter on May 30th, 1977. His Oakland A's number 43 is retired. He's in the Red Sox Hall of Fame, the Athletics Hall of Fame. He's on the Major League Baseball all-time team, and, of course, he's in Cooperstown, having gone in 2004. His win-loss record, 197 and 171.
Yeah.
Above 500. Look at that. Career ERA, 3.50, 2,401 strikeouts, but only 390 saves, and that was primarily because of his
he was a starter. He
started for years. Yeah.
It was primarily because he was a starter. Yeah, and
is he the only closer to ever win a league MVP?
Yeah. I mean,
I think he is.
I think he is. I
mean, he won the MVP in '92.
Yeah, and he was kind of the first, at least the first guy that I remember who had a successful career as a starter and then became a closer. There's a few other guys that followed him, but
well, he was. I mean, what was it? Tony La Russa when he was on the in '87. When he went to the A's. Tony La Russa, he's the one that really brought him into the limelight as far as being a closer goes at that point. Which is why, at that point in his career, he only has 390 saves. If he was closing for his entire career, he would have probably been in the 600s, or more.
Right.
So.
I don't know. Was he an unlikable guy? Like, I feel like I should like Dennis Eckersley more than
anytime I ever hung out with him, he was a great guy to me. So.
I think Oakland's had a couple really good. He was for that stretch of time. When I think of Dennis Eckersley, I always think that he played earlier than he did. I think of I sort of date him a little bit before when he actually was dominant, but he was really, for a stretch of 4 or 5 years there, unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, just one of the. I would say in his prime, he was as automatic as another person that we're going to get to, and maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was when he switched to when La Russa switched him to a closer role in Oakland. I mean, it was 9 or 10 seasons he was a closer in Oakland. It was just he killed it, he did,
and he was a good starter. It wasn't like he was
no.
A mediocre starter who said, maybe I'll give the short relief a try. He didn't have an injury or something, right? That pushed him into the closer's role.
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah,
I believe that it was an injury of somebody else. That it was. He started 2 games with the A's before an injury to then closer Jay Howell opened the door for Eckersley to move into the closer's role.
Okay,
so
there we go.
Jay Howell was injured, and that's when Eck.
And then Eck was just so good that.
And then, that
I think I'll stay here from dominate for a while.
Exactly.
Good for him.
There you go.
By the way, the laziest nickname out of anyone, Eck. Let's just take that.
It could have been worse. It could have been E. Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah, that's
E.
true.
Just E. Yeah, just
Mr. E.
Mr. E. Number Mr. 3.
Mr. 3 is Mr. E.
There you go. Tied for number 3, Dennis Eckersley. So, all right, that gets us to the top 2. Our number 2 closer tonight is Mr. Trevor Hoffman. Trevor William Hoffman, to be exact. He pitched for the Florida Marlins in '93, and then he got traded to the Padres for the next 16 seasons. Closed up his career. Actually was drafted, I believe, by the Marlins and traded to the Padres. And then
the Marlins were around when Trevor Hoffman started.
The first year, he was. I think he was taken in the initial
supplemental draft,
expansion draft, whatever it was. And then closed out the last 2 years of his career with the Brewers in 2009 and 2010. 7-time All-Star, 2-time National League Roll A's Relief Man Award. 2-time National League Saves leader. His number 51 is retired with the Padres. He's in the Padres Hall of Fame. He's in the Milwaukee Brewers Wall of Honor. He's in Cooperstown, of course, having gone a few years ago in 2018. Win-loss record, 61 and 75. Career ERA of 2.87. 1,133 strikeouts. 601 saves.
Yeah, I mean, he's on this list because of his. I mean, he challenged somebody else who we'll be talking about in a second. I mean, his numbers are just staggering. I mean, the fact that he played in San Diego and he sort of was boring,
right.
But he was dominant.
The Marlins acquired Hoffman in the 1992 expansion draft, and he pitched for Florida until he was traded to the Padres mid-season in 1993 in a deal that sent Gary Sheffield to the Marlins. So there you go. That's how he wound up in San Diego. But, just a lights-out closer. But
operating in relative obscurity.
Yeah.
As everybody who wasn't named Tony Gwynn kind of did. In San Diego.
Well, he became the once Tony Gwynn retired, he became the he became
the name that you knew on that team.
The name that you knew on the Padres. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
They played together for a couple seasons.
Yeah. So. And,
but he wasn't on the Padres he was when they went to the World Series, right?
When they went to the World Series with the Yankees,
yeah.
Who was there?
Hoffman was there, yeah.
Hoffman was there.
That was Gwynn's last season, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's our number 2 tonight, Trevor Hoffman.
Oh, yeah, just say this. What was it? 1,035 games, I think?
And 1,035 games.
1,035 games, 1,133 strikeouts.
Yep.
Pretty good.
That's pretty damn good. So there you go. Number 2, Mr. Trevor Hoffman. And that brings us to our number 1. Our number 1 closer of all time in Major League Baseball is, shall I say,
Troy Percival.
Joey Percival, yeah. Is Edwin Diaz. No.
Armando Benitez.
There you go. No, actually, the way Pete put it today, I think he said, duh. Mr. Sandman here. Mo Rivera. Mariano Rivera. Mo or Mr. Sandman. Or Mr. One tonight. He's Mr. One.
It's Captain One.
Dr. One.
Dr. One. Yeah,
Dr. One. There you go. I like that. Dr. One. There you go. Played his entire career with the New York Yankees, 1995 through 2013. 13-time All-Star. 5-time World Series champion. World Series MVP in 1999.
Should be 6.
Yep. World Series MVP in 99. American League Championship Series MVP in 03. 5-time American League Roll A's Relief Man Award winner. 3-time Delivery Man of the Year Award winner. American League Comeback Player of the Year in 2013. 3-time Major League Baseball Saves Leader in 99, 01, and 04. I believe those were significant seasons for the Yankees. They won a World Series, lost a World Series, and didn't make a World Series in that particular order. Major League Baseball record 652 career saves. New York Yankees number 42 is retired. My last person to wear number 42 ever.
Yeah.
And Monument Park honoree, of course, he is in Cooperstown, having gotten 100% of the votes on the first.
The only one ever.
Only one ever. His win-loss record is 82-60.
Yeah.
Career ERA 2.21. 1,173 strikeouts, 652 saves, and his career WHIP is 1.
Yeah.
Yep. The cutter.
The cutter.
Dr. 1, Mariano Rivera.
The surgeon. It's through the cutter.
There you go.
Here's his 162 game average.
Go for it.
5 wins, 4 losses, so over 500 there.
Mm-hmm.
221 is ERA. 39 saves.
Yeah.
And et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So, all-time great. Of course, he had to be a Yankee.
Right.
And look, even a Yankee hater like me, not only the greatest closer, a great player, but a great, by all accounts, not that I know him personally, but a great human being as well. So I won't say I have love for Mariano Rivera, but
and something
pretty close.
Something very, very strange went on. It was the beginning of these things happening, and then when he was on his farewell tour, if you will, the last time he pitched in 2013 in Boston, they hated Mariano Rivera in Boston, and rightfully so. But I guess by 2013 they were kind of over it because they had won. They were about to win their. They were about to win their third World
Winning
Series.
Is
in
the
9
great
years.
panacea, right?
Exactly. But in any event, they did it up right for him. They sent him off well. So, but
you have to just acknowledge greatness, whether you're a fan of that team or that player or whatever. And listen, they love him in Arizona, so
yeah,
this is true.
That's the one place. He didn't hate Mariano.
It's funny that's my memory of Mariano Rivera. That cheap little fucking
flair,
loop single ruined that year, and God, that's what I remember. It's just
so all the other greatness he did. That's what you remember.
That's what I remember because it pissed me off more than any other Yankee World Series loss because they were just such a better team. That's fucking diamond.
But I will say this. And I'll try and take my Yankee hatred out of it. That was a pretty amazing moment in series history. Like that was exciting. That was, and it wasn't just
great postseason following 9/11 and everything else.
Yeah, and it was kind of a giant killer moment and stuff, and so crazy. And of course it was the guy who would go on to be the greatest closer ever.
Exactly.
Wasn't perfect, but still
nobody
it was
is.
excitement. No, nobody is, but it was excitement.
Other than Aroldis Chapman, he's perfect and in blowing postseason games.
Yeah, perfectly frustrating.
Perfectly horrible.
Armando Benitez kind of did that once too.
They're cut from the same cloth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mariano Rivera. I mean, it's look, it's gonna be a long time before we see anybody else like him.
I don't even know we ever will.
Yeah.
We may
never.
One pitch, and maybe the only pitcher who was
really
more dominant against lefties, being that he was a right-hander, more dominant against lefties than right-handers. Because
you knew what pitch was coming, and you still couldn't hit it.
Yeah, he just couldn't do a darn thing.
Yeah,
there you go.
Well,
but I think Pete froze there. I was about to say
players that you're.
Pete was frozen up by a cutter.
Oh, there we go.
Pete got frozen up.
Really? Because you guys were both frozen for me. So we're fortunate to be able to witness Mariano Rivera in our lifetimes.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I was saying, everybody has their own. Every different era has their own great players that you go, oh my God, there'll never be another guy like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty fortunate to be able to see Mariano Rivera, whether you're a fan of his or a fan of the Yankees or not.
Well, don't get me wrong. They're going to be other great players. They're going to be other, even for us and beyond and all. But that level of greatness at that particular position, I don't think we're ever going to see.
I think his record will stand for a long time because I don't think you're going to have guys who are going to have the longevity.
Yeah, that's what it is.
A lot of. I mean, K-Rod might be the last guy who's really been able to pitch long enough to rack up those kind of numbers. You're just not going to see it. They just don't have the physical capability of doing it anymore.
Well, yeah, and you're going to have to almost not. Well, let's see. Hey, I think Marion had like 150 save season and a couple of 40s, right?
Yeah,
a handful of 40 plus.
Yeah, because a lot of times
almost
they
have to be like a long career closer from the start on a pretty decent team that's going to give you the opportunity.
Not a team that blows people out. A team that's always keeps it close.
Right.
That's why Trevor Hoffman and Rodriguez and a lot of these other guys have so many saves because they were on teams that didn't blow people out.
Right. But if Rivera was on a lesser team,
he might have
didn't win as much. He wouldn't have had as many opportunities, let's say. So you're going to have the opportunities. You're going to have to be a workhorse. You're going to have a long career. He had a 19-year career to even get close to those kind of numbers. So no record is untouchable. That one's pretty damn untouchable.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that helps Rivera is that the Yankees back then were focused on defense and pitching. Yep. They had the David Cohns and the Andy Pettis, and they got the Roger Clemens, and they went out and got Mike Mussina. And, I mean, they just consistently had great starting pitchers in front of them. Yep. And that puts you in a position where you're ahead in the late innings where you can come in and save a game. So, he was definitely he was a dominant performer, and it's not taking anything away from him. But, he
was in a great situation.
He was in a great situation.
That's for sure. There you go. Our number one closer in Major League Baseball history, Mr. Mo Rivera, the Sandman. There you go. All right.
And that wraps it up for baseball. Oh, no, not yet.
That'll bring us to this week's Old Balls.
Old Balls.
Tell us, Harry, who this week's Old Balls recipient is.
This week's Old Balls is somebody who's not very old at all. It's Mr. Brian Wilson. And no, not the Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys fame. The Brian Wilson who, in my humble opinion, was the weirdest and most entertaining athlete I've ever been privy to. Look at that. Dark, just for men, number 712.
That's just
black beard.
That's just black paint. That's all that is.
Yeah, I mean, look, Brian Wilson had a couple really great years, including, I think, 2010 for the San Francisco Giants, where he joined a very elite group of people in posting 4 saves in a World Series win. He was dominant in that, and had a couple really, really great seasons with the Giants. Injuries kind of bit him. He went to the Dodgers. He just couldn't really regain some of the dominance that he had in those years, and was gone pretty early. But his deadpan delivery and his just outright celebration of being a complete weirdo was completely refreshing to me. And Major League Baseball and the networks did everything they possibly could to try and change him and soften it. And he just wouldn't have anything to do with it. And, he was the first Fear the Beard, before James Harden.
Yeah.
He was just really, really, really fascinating. And it started with, people asking him, why do you dye your beard? And him just deadpanning going, what are you talking about? And it was just obvious that he was just a nut job. I mean, he was almost at a central casting for, being able to play in Major League too. He was just that great of a character.
Exactly.
And then he stole this character from the movie 8mm, this sadomasochist, S&M character called the Machine. And one day I'm sitting watching ESPN, and he's in his house doing an interview, and some guy walks by and all in leather with the ball gag in just behind him, and he maybe it was on Jim Rome or one of those shows, and he's just like, whoa, what was that? And this just this is kind of when the internet's just starting. It was really before you just had constant clips of things, so you were always kind of waiting, okay, when is the Machine going to make an appearance again? Yeah. Turned out it was his roommate and his teammate, Pat Burrell. At least that's what they were. But look, you don't get this in baseball anymore. No. I mean, it was so odd and off the wall that he was entertaining and at a time he was also really, really, really good. Yeah. But getting back to, to our other, our most recent conversation about durability, there's been a lot of good relievers who've had, great 2, 3, 4 years, the Eric Gagnes of the world, Brian Wilson. There's always somebody that it just seems like these guys' careers are getting cut short through injuries. But he's certainly the youngest recipient of old balls. Yeah. When I think of relief pitchers, he just makes me chuckle. His career was cut short by very short.
Yeah, he pitched for 9 seasons, and it was he had his second Tommy John surgery the year before, and he just couldn't do anything, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, but he was on that Giants World Championship team, he was a big reason. I think it was him and Tim Lincecum, but it was he was really, really, really good, and just a freak.
Probably amongst all the recipients of the Old Balls Award, Brian Wilson would be the guy who would, if we actually gave away,
he'd probably like
he would display. Yeah, he would love it the most and display it prominently.
That's right.
His.
That's right. We'll put a little black beard on his trophy.
Yeah, there we go.
Black bearded.
Well, he was also kind of doing the beard thing before the beard thing just became,
Right.
Second nature. I mean, it was so black that it was almost like beyond natural. It was just crazy. I don't know. I maybe just look up old clips of the Machine, Brian Wilson. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is funny. There you go. Well, Brian Wilson, this week's Old Balls. And there you have it. So that'll wrap up baseball for today.
Let's just see really quick what's going on here.
Check out.
All right, Braves are blowing out the Mets 11-2.
11-2. Wow.
And
the Yankees are another run across, huh?
The Yanks are in a delay in the bottom of the third. Am I reading that correctly? And they're up 7-3. So there you go.
Oh God, this will be the one game that gets rained out. The game that they score 7.
And the Mets and the Braves are only in the 5th. So that's
is it raining near you guys? They're playing in the Bronx, aren't they?
I don't know. I don't live in the Bronx. I don't think it's.
You're close enough.
It could be a thunderstorm. If it's not rain, there's no rain. So if it's anything, it's a thunderstorm with the heat.
No, it's dark out. I can't see.
Yeah, so we'll have to check that out. But yeah, the Mets, the Braves are kicking the crap out of the Mets, 11-2. But you're right; it's only in the bottom of the 5th. So who the hell knows?
Yeah.
Zapucki is pitching for the Mets right now. So
yeah, okay.
Zapucki.
That's a great name.
Yeah, he has a total of 1 innings pitched.
Sounds like something you put on a leak.
He has a 0.00 ERA right now. So it sounds like Mr. Blutarski's.
He's the Blutarski.
That's right. You got a little leak on your key trap. Put a little Zapucki on it.
Mr. Zapucki.
Mr. Zapucki.
0.0.
Mr. Zero.
He's got two pencils in his nose.
Yeah.
Mr. Sapaki.
Oh, you can't make this shit.
All
right, let's get to the NFL.
So let's get
to
the NFL. Well, there's just a couple of things I just.
There's always something.
No. It's quick. You'll like it. It's quick.
Is this the quiz this week?
You might not like it, but actually, you know what? I totally skipped the quiz. Oh my God.
No quiz.
I got to go back. I'll have to take this off. I'll leave the background. It doesn't matter. The quiz is actually in baseball.
Okay.
I did.
All right.
So
you do have a quiz.
I do have a quiz for you. Here we go. All right. You have 2 different ones. One for each. Who wants to go first?
Pete can go first.
I'll go first.
Okay. Keep 2, drop 3. All in their prime, second baseman.
Oh boy.
Okay. Here we go.
For drop 3. I got to think of 5 people.
Yeah. Keep 2, drop 3. Second baseman. Edgardo Alfonso.
I might kind of have some idea about one of them.
All right.
And I got to know 5.
Edgardo Alfonso, Wally Backman, Tim Tuffle, Ken Boswell, and Daniel Murphy. What do you think?
I'll keep Alfonso for his defense, and I'll keep Murphy for his offense.
I would have been my 2 choices.
There you go.
Although it's hard for me not to pick Wally Backman.
Well, between Wally Backman, Tim Tuffle, and Ken Boswell was big part of the '69 season. So.
Didn't Tuffle do something great in the postseason or something, or hit some home runs or something?
He invented a dance called the Tuffle Shuffle.
The Tuffle Shuffle.
All right. I guess that was it then.
It was close to the Macarena, but not quite as spicy.
It went over better in '86 than Macarena would have went over. So. Okay.
Hey, it is a dance that we call the Tuffle Shuffle.
It was big in Green Bay.
We keep it in a bag, and the bag is like a duffel.
You can only do it in three-four time signature. No, it's actually more of a polka.
We like singing it out, but we often have to muffle. I'm trying to think of every word I can that rhymes.
This is actually
muffle.
good. We'll have to rewrite this, and we'll put the music. There you go.
So
Fonzie and Daniel Murphy.
Fonzie and Murph, yeah.
Fonzie and the Murph. All right, so Harry.
It's a buddy cop movie, by the way.
Fonzie and the Murph.
2X second base. 2X Mets second baseman who solved
team up to fight crime.
They had bad agents, and now they're forced to work
in their retirement.
They're forced to work in the Queens Detective.
The Queens Detective Bureau.
And John Franco is there, like their sergeant.
Johnny Franco's the captain. Yeah.
Get out there,
Captain Franco.
Captain Franco.
Where's my cruller?
Is that coffee light and sweet? Anyway, all right, Harry. Here are yours. Ready?
All right.
Keep 2, drop 3. Second baseman: Tony Lazzari, Willie Randolph, Robbie Cano, Billy Martin, or DJ LeMahieu.
Was DJ
Martin as a coach or a second baseman?
No, second baseman.
I think the verdict's out on LeMahieu only because he hasn't played for the Yankees as long as these other guys. So I may change my mind on this. Plus, he's also playing first base more than he's playing second base. So I'm gonna go. I love Willie Randolph, but I think if you had to take 2 in their prime, it would be Lazzari and Cano.
Lazzari and Cano. I had to figure you were going to go there. So yeah. Tony Lazzari and Robinson Cano for Harry, and Edgardo Alfonso and Daniel Murphy for Pete. There you go. That's our quiz for this evening.
And they'll be squaring off in a chicken fight.
And they'll be squaring off in a chicken fight later with John Franco is going to be the ref.
Jonestown Community Pool.
Exactly.
It'll be Thursday at 7 p.m.
Tony Lazzari alive?
I don't believe so.
No, so put your money on the Mets.
Yeah. I don't know. Robbie Cano's, combined average is probably higher than both.
Well, Robbie Cano's nice and rested right now. So.
That's true.
And it's funny.
Why didn't you put Cano on the Mets list?
Because he's one of the Yankees' all-time best second basemen.
Same reason you can't choose LeMahieu. He hasn't had enough time with the position.
Right, exactly. LeMahieu at least played a couple games.
Yeah, exactly. The 4 games Cano actually played in second. It's not enough of a sample size.
4 games in 4 seasons.
4 games in 4 years. Oh, you gotta love it. All right. So NFL, really quick. Where's my stuff? Here we go. Let's see the. Oh shit! Oh, here we go. Giants. There's a good call. Most of the pundits lately. I just wanted to bring this up. Most of the pundits lately are picking the Giants or saying that the Giants will be able to break their playoff drought this year. That they're going to get back to it. And,
Jimmy from Hohokus seems to think that's definitely
Jimmy from Hohokus is a big proponent of the fact that's happening. Yeah. Absolutely. But there's
Damien from Hasbrook Heights says they're going to be great this year.
There's a big push out there for not big push, but a big getting behind the fact that Kadarius Toney is actually a perfect fit for Daniel Jones. So we'll see what happens with that. But the main reason I wanted to just bring up football is I have to show you this really quick, and I wanted to talk about this.
What does that really mean, a perfect fit? He's a guy who can catch the ball and do great things after he catches it?
I guess.
He's a great fit for any quarterback.
He can block.
Aaron Rodgers? No.
Because he can block and catch the ball at the same time.
He can block, throw it, and catch it. He's a perfect fit for Daniel Jones. He's their backup
around.
And he can swing around and pick up the fumble once it comes out.
He can circle around behind Jones, throw a block, pick up the fumble, and then run.
He's been working with Daniel Jones in the offseason and having him jump over the 20-yard line as opposed to trip on it.
Right, exactly.
So he's been teaching him that.
They've been working that out. Yeah, absolutely. But I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to get your opinion on this. I posted this picture in a couple of Giants groups yesterday. This is me drinking and enjoying a beer with Mr. Tiki Barber.
Tiki.
This is going back about 7 years. Now, I posted this in 2 or 3 different Giants groups. Slammed this picture got. And not me, just Tiki. Some of the comments you wouldn't believe. In fact, I'm not even going to repeat them on the show, some of them. But I'll give you a couple. Like, did he drop the bottle right after that? There's another one. Did he tell you that you were drinking it wrong after you drank it? So yeah, they just there's a big consortium of Giants fans out there in a lot of these Facebook groups that cannot stand that man.
Tiki Barber is, if you look at what he did, he could arguably be the best Giants running back of all time.
He is.
But
I mean, stats wise, he is already. Anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But he did what you can't do in New York, and he became a prima donna, and he wasn't necessarily a guy who was there for the long haul. Yeah. And so I get it. I mean, Tiki Barber's a nice enough guy, but he also did not have kind things to say occasionally about New York and about their fans. And so the last thing you want to do to ingrain yourself in the lore and the history of New York is to slam the people who came out and paid good money to watch you play every week.
Exactly.
So I get it.
A couple of big mistakes.
Yeah,
I mean, put that picture back up again for a second.
I think it's softened though a little bit over the time.
There you go.
All right, here's my issue. First of all, the Sam Adams hat.
Yeah,
that to me, that's a bigger crime. Here's what I think you ought to do: repost this.
You look like Steve Jobs a little bit there.
Actually,
Tiki.
I think you should repost this next week. Yeah. Only say it's Rondé Barber.
That's right.
And see what kind of reaction you get then.
That's pretty funny too.
Here's me and Rondé Barber.
Here's me and Rondé enjoying a beer. Yeah.
They'll love you. They'll be like, at least it's not Tiki. Who knew Rondé was a Star Wars fan? They'll love you.
They a couple people actually said, if he was a nice guy, you actually got fooled. You must have been drunk on that beer. That's Rondé. Yeah, it was
Tiki. If you want to come on the Get On With It podcast, you're more than welcome.
You're more than welcome. It was actually nothing but nice to me while we were enjoying that beer. So
Joe Morris was also in that picture. You just couldn't see him.
He was. Yeah. He's just below the camera level there. And he was standing on a box too. But that's
is that Little Train?
Joe Morris. I'll take Joe Morris.
I'll take Joe Morris. Absolutely. Yeah. But anyway, so there you go. That's pretty much football.
I just want to bring one thing up quickly.
Sure, go for it.
So we know who Doug Peterson is, right?
We do know who Doug Peterson is.
Yeah. So he says he's
player for Night Ranger, right?
He's not bitter about how his time with the Eagles ended, and he's hoping to get a chance to coach again. Mm-hmm. And so, all right, 42-37 and 1 overall, 4-2 in the playoffs, and I think he's got a Super Bowl ring on his hand.
I think he does have a Super Bowl ring. Yeah, pretty sure.
He's the first guy to ever wear a visor and win a Super Bowl, so he broke that.
There you go. The strike against him, of course, quitting.
Yeah, but was that his call, though?
Well, I don't know. But so here's my question to you guys: will he get another job?
Yeah,
he will. Right?
He will. He'll get another.
He's got a winning record.
He won a Super Bowl. He's got a winning record. He won a Super Bowl,
and one of the great Super Bowls against.
Right. Or he'll be a coordinator. And he
may do that first,
right?
Yeah. But I tend to think he'll get another job.
Well, do you think Garrett will have another head coaching job?
Yeah.
Let's hope it's not as interim head coach of the Giants this year.
No, it's not.
Well,
they're in love with Joe Judge. Joe Judge isn't going anywhere. Garrett will be coaching somewhere else before Judge is excommunicated from the Giants.
Where's Garrett going to go?
I don't know. It depends on what team needs.
I think
if Jason Garrett is just going to stay a coordinator, he's not leaving the Giants. Garrett will leave the Giants when he becomes a head coach again.
See, I think Garrett would be a much more desirable head coach than Peterson, just because of today's game. I mean, Peterson had a really great year, yeah, and it was one of the biggest upsets of all time. But I don't know. He'll go somewhere, but it's.
I would tend to think there are people who would be interested to see what Jason Garrett would do as a head coach without that owner.
Right. Yeah.
The other thing is that Jason Garrett probably would never have been a head coach if it was not for that owner.
Right.
That's true.
This is true because it probably wouldn't have been. He may have been a little later. He wouldn't have been when he was. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know.
So.
All right. Well, that's my little NFL thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think we agree. We agree. He'll coach again.
Nice. Yeah, no, he'll coach again. Both of them will. I kind of lean towards what Harry was saying. I could see Garrett coaching before Peterson, but they both will. They'll both be head coaches again at some point. When? Who knows? It depends on how shitty a couple of teams around the league do with the head coaches they have. So
it'd be great if he went back to Philly in a year. He's going to coach the Sixers next year.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then, actually, I have to pull that up, so I'll do that.
The Yankee game has restarted.
Recommenced. It was probably just a thunderstorm. That's all said. All right. Shall we do some NBA? What do you think?
NBA. And on today's injury list.
Yeah.
Well, nothing serious for
thank God
Giannis, right? Just no
damage.
No
structural damage.
No structural damage, a sprain. So wrap it up.
When he's going to be able to play again.
Well, he's out for the next game, I think. So
that's he's doubtful for the next game.
Doubtful.
That's all we know.
Now, what do we know? Well, listen, I think that performance by the Hawks is pretty impressive, considering they didn't have Trae Young.
The Bucks are a really, really, really inconsistent team.
Yeah, did you know they're a top 10 defensive team this year?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I didn't think they were that good defensively, but I know they got better over the course of the season. But
the game they won, they held the Hawks to what, 80-something points. I mean, with Trae Young. So the two games they won. I think the Bucks need to find their footing, much like Atlanta did without Trae Young, and I think they're capable of that. It really comes down to who is going to shoot well. That was the key. When Gallinari and Bogdanovic play well, the Hawks have a much better chance to win and can win without Trae Young. Is Middleton going to come out and lay an egg again, or is he and Drew Holiday actually going to have a good game and get some assistance from Brook Lopez? That's really what the series has come down to.
Yep.
And I still think Milwaukee's a better team at the end of this. But
I think Milwaukee's a better team, though. But are they going to win? That's the thing.
Yeah, we don't know.
Atlanta might be a little better off the bench.
Now it becomes a series. Yeah, I agree.
Atlanta's better off the bench. Sweet Lou is doing his thing, certainly in the absence of Trae Young in an expanded role. But he's always been a guy instant offense off the bench.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. He hasn't had. Atlanta had that game where they were playing with the dealer's money. It was nobody expected them to win, and now it's a 3-game series, and we'll see what happens. Unfortunate that both of these guys are hurt because you want to see both of them on the court playing.
Right.
Yeah,
but I think it's a toss-up. Right now. And if Giannis and Trae come back, I still think it's a toss-up. Milwaukee had all the momentum. Milwaukee should have been able to come out and run Atlanta off the court the other game. But it's just who this team is. They're very inconsistent. Nothing personal against Buckholter or whatever the hell you say his name. He's not a great coach.
No,
this team has no discipline. When they play defense, when Giannis goes to the hole, when they rebound and get out in the fast break, they are almost unbeatable.
Yeah,
But Giannis falls in love with his jump shot a game after he scores 30 in the paint. Drew Holiday, after having 6 or 7 assists and being part of the offense, the ball dies in his hands, and they forget how to rebound and play defense.
Too many times I hear the people calling the game going, what are they doing? Why are they not doing? It's obvious to us and to them and to, it seems, everyone except A, the players on the court, and B, the coach on the sideline for the Bucks, that they are not doing what they should be doing. Yeah. They are not doing what wins them games. Right. And it is kind of perplexing.
And they're the only team in the NBA whose best player in the fourth quarter with the game on the line is not their best player. It's Chris Middleton. I mean, it really the Bucks' success has always, for the last number of seasons, been about Chris Middleton, because Giannis just doesn't have the kind of game that can translate into clutch time points. He just doesn't. Every other player, Trae Young is the go-to guy on the Hawks. Devin Booker is the go-to guy on the Suns. Paul George and or Kawhi Leonard are the go-to guys when it comes time to the Clippers. It's not with the Bucks, and that's a problem.
Yep, absolutely. Did you hear the latest trade though from trade news from Philly?
Ben Simmons is going to go to the San Diego Chargers for
close up. Ben Simmons is being traded to the Flint Tropics for Jackie Moon.
Jackie Moon would be a good backup center for Embiid. I like that.
Yeah, Moon doesn't have the defensive chops that Simmons has, though.
Yeah.
No. He's not as versatile.
No,
but the underhanded free throws are certainly.
True.
Yeah. All right. So, are the Clippers going to be able to come back again without Kawhi? And they're down by 4 at the end of the first quarter right now, according to my ticker here.
I think
they're home tonight, though, right?
I think both of these series are going to go 7. I think the Clippers do win tonight, and I really do think. I think you have to give a little bit of the edge to the Suns because they're healthy.
Yeah,
but I think any of these teams, it's a toss-up. It's just a toss-up.
I'll say this about the Clippers, though. There, as you said, it's either Kawhi or it's Paul George. Not that there's no one else on the team that ever steps up or whatever,
right.
But the team lives or dies. And in a case like tonight, it lives and dies with Paul George. This team lives and dies with their stars,
right? And because they traded away a lot of their depth, and look, Cousins had a hell of a game. And they're getting some play for some of these guys.
They'll get some help.
They had to dust them off because they were collecting.
They'll get some help, but it's nobody that you want to rely on.
They're not deep. That's the problem with the Clippers. Having said that, they're 2 games away from the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're doing. Props to Paul George. He's taken a lot of heat and a lot of criticism for not showing up in big time. Kawhi's grumpy and unhappy again, but Kawhi seems to know his body. He seems to know. This is the same issue that came up at San Antonio when he's like, look, you're clearing me to play and I'm going to play, but something's wrong. And certainly he was right. Something's wrong. And it sounds like Kawhi's done. Whether they advance or not, he's not coming back because he's just the injury is more serious than what they're letting on.
Was it worse than when he was practically on crutches with Toronto? I mean, is it really that bad?
It sounds like
to me, I would think he would be back for Game 7, but they got to get there first. So I don't know. It must be pretty bad if he's.
I agree that they're going to win tonight. I agree that they'll come back because they, like you said, they are home. I agree that they're going to win tonight and they're going to force a Game 7. And I think both these series are going to go 7.
The key to the Suns, I think, winning is that Ayton has now Ayton's having to play against a traditional center.
Right.
The Clippers finally learned, wow, the Suns have a big guy who's dominating down low. Maybe we should put in an actual defensive center. What a novel concept.
Yeah.
And so Ayton has struggled a little
90
bit.
games.
Yeah. I mean, he still had a double-double. His rebounds are slow, but he didn't have as much impact in the game. He's really the key to this team because he is he's a star in the making, if not already there.
Right.
And other than Booker, they're a deadly combination. Chris Paul's been solid. Let's hope he stays healthy, but we know the history with Chris Paul. So I think right now the 3 guys on the Suns are healthy. Every other team's got injury problems right now.
Wow.
And when you're talking about Giannis, Kawhi, and Trae Young, you're talking about 3 MVP level guys who are not playing right now, and that's tough. That's tough for the NBA to swallow.
It is tough. It's definitely tough for the NBA to swallow that. Everything all right there, RadioPete?
I guess so. I heard a noise, but
was it
the
the ice cream man again?
It was Kawhi.
It was Emerson Boozer. He's coming over to
one of my neighbors crashing their car into the sidewalk again.
But I think it has less appeal without the star guys in there.
Of course it does. Definitely. Sure.
I mean, if you're gonna get a Kawhi-less LA Clippers versus a Trae Young-less Atlanta Hawks NBA final, where you're going to be watching Danilo Gallinari battle DeMarcus Cousins, not what the NBA I think had in mind.
No, it might be a really great series.
It might. And look, props to Gallinari. He's one of these guys who's having a hell of a kind of, I don't want to say comeback, but resurgence.
It's a bit of a renaissance for him.
It's
Yeah,
definitely a renaissance for him. Yeah, absolutely.
And the Hawks, it's really going to depend. Is Bogdanovich going to finally find a shot? He found it the other night, and he's really dangerous. And if Young can come back and those guys can hit the shots like they do, they're a tough team to beat. Give Clint Capella some credit too. This guy seems to be an important piece to a lot of championship challenging teams. He knows how to fit in. He knows how to be a good role player, and we'll see. But I thought after Game 3 that the Bucks would take off, especially with Young going down. Now I'm not so sure.
We'll see what happens with that. Did you hear the latest rumor mill with Dame?
Damian Lillard's going to go to the Knicks.
Yeah. Damian Lillard is not
everybody's
not good for him. I think he should.
Well,
Damian Lillard should come to the Nuggets. Damian, come.
He's apparently favorited, if you will, if that's a word, to stay favorited.
He's staying in Portland.
He's staying in Portland.
He's
but
definitely not going to the Knicks.
But he's as far as Vegas goes, money lines and everything else. If he does leave Portland, the Knicks are the favorites to land him.
But his best chance to win is either Philly or Denver.
Whatever. Here's one proposed trade idea. And would you do this? If you're the Knicks GM, would you do this trade? R.J. Barrett, Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickley, this year's first round, 2023's first round, and then swap your picks in 2022 and 2024.
For Lillard?
For Lillard.
No.
Too much?
Wait, who are the players? Toppin? Fine.
Toppin, Quickley, and Barrett.
Yeah.
And then a first rounder this year, a first rounder in 2023.
They still need another player because Julius Randle isn't going to be any better than C.J. McCollum or Carmelo Anthony to win a championship for Damian Lillard.
Right.
Plus, Damian Lillard's coming to he just have a say in who their coach was, so I don't think he's leaving Portland.
Right. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and he's not going to buy into a Tom Thibodeau defense first scenario.
Yeah.
So you need like a Damian Lillard. Look,
and that's you're going to put him on a team. Are you going to put him on a team that who's left?
If you put him on Denver or the Sixers, those two teams are title contenders automatically. I mean, he'd be great with Embiid. He'd be spectacular.
But you have to see what they're what are they going to give up?
Right. Who do you want? Michael Porter Jr.? That's the only guy I'd really want to keep, although he disappeared in the last series in the playoffs. You want Jamal Murray for Damian Lillard? Great.
I don't think Portland wants Jamal Murray.
I'm sure Portland's going to want more than Jamal Murray.
That's fine. Who do you want? 3 first-round picks? You got 4 years left with Jokic to win a championship. If you're really serious, then you go out and you get a Damian Lillard.
Right.
Monte Morris? Great. Who else?
That's the problem for the Knicks is that you don't have a Jokic to go along with Damian Lillard.
Right. It would have to be a bunch of these guys that have possibly a little upside plus a bunch of number 1 picks.
I mean, Jamal Murray and 2 or 3 other players, Will Barton and a couple others. Portland might go for that. That's just as good as an R.J. Barrett and an Obi Toppin.
Sure.
So
probably better.
Probably better.
Probably a little better.
I think Barrett's got upside.
Barrett's got upside.
Toppin, I guess they're saying is getting better, but I mean, wasn't he the first round pick?
Yeah.
Barrett was a first round pick. Toppin was a first round pick.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Toppin was the first round pick, and he's
DeAndre Ayton is everything that Obi Toppin was supposed to be.
Obi Toppin, got by the end of the season, got to where he, was playing 6 minutes a game.
Right.
So
I mean, throw in Kevin Knox,
getting better.
A little bit, yeah, because he was playing 4 a couple of weeks before that. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's it.
There we go. That'll do NBA. Yeah. Well, I mean, this time next week we'll be talking about the finals. So we'll figure it out then.
Yeah, that's right.
All
right, Canadiens and the Lightning tied at 1 in the second with about 5 minutes left. And
let's go Montreal.
Yeah.
By the way, congratulations to the Islanders. They had another good season.
Yeah,
they fell short.
Season.
Tampa Bay's tough. Tampa Bay's got to be favored to win this, but there's something about Tampa Bay teams other than the Bucks that I just can't root for. So it's, I mean, how wonderful would it be for the Canadians to win a Stanley Cup?
Absolutely. What's the what is it right now? What's the score?
It's 1-1.
It's 1-1, tied 1-1.
And they're down one. It's just 1-0, right?
Yeah, I mean, Lightning. I think
Tampa's up 1.
Yeah, I think it was. What was the final? 6-1, I think.
5-1
or 5-1. Yeah. So that's what Tampa Bay can do. I don't know. Listen, go Habs. Listen, I'm not an Islanders fan. I'm not a Rangers fan. When it comes to the Islanders, Tampa Bay has their number and has for a long time.
Tampa Bay's got everybody's number.
Yeah, that's true. They won a couple of championships, but
I like to see Montreal win it. But
I got to see Montreal win.
I got a feeling it's going to be another back-to-back for the
Tampa's favorite.
I think it will be favorite,
but you got to hope.
But Montreal could be that team of destiny. I think I picked them to win it all. They might be that team of destiny.
You picked them to win it all in 2012, but that's okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's
picked them to win it all in 2012.
Yeah, but I picked them to win it this year in 2012.
But no.
I said the Habs are going to win it.
That's right. Projecting out 9 years,
2021. Well, that's how I make most of my picks.
That's right.
That way, if they're wrong, most people forget about them.
That's
and
right.
if they're right, then I get to look like a Nostradamus.
That's right.
There you go.
Which has never happened once.
It's never happened once. Not a once.
I've never made a 9-year prediction that's come out. Correct.
Have you?
No, not yet.
Not once.
One of these days. Maybe it's this year. Maybe it's Montreal this year.
There you go. My computer locked up, by the way. You can still hear me, but
what?
Yeah, my computer locked up.
Well, that means it's time to call it a night.
Well, we can't. The thing is, we can't call it a night with my computer locked up. So
son of a
can't call it a night with John's computer. Well, I can log off. He can log off, and the podcast can continue to roll.
We were on pace for a 2-hour marathon.
We can't do that. I don't know why this is doing this, but we can vamp a little bit. So,
or we could just all get up and leave, and
we just end it and let it roll.
We can't, no, because
I think just the black screen of Pete's room would be great.
You know what? I'll move the chair out of the way, and people can get an actual view of what's.
Yeah, there you go. Now
behind me.
Now the ratings are going to skyrocket.
There we go. Ay.
So let's see what's going on here. I don't know why it's locked up.
Well, probably if you reboot, then we'll get shut down, right?
Well, if I reboot, you'll still stay on, but I have to get back on in order to, at that point.
It sounds like we just need to shut our computers off, and it will take care of itself.
It won't, though. It'll keep going. This has never happened before.
Can you do it from your phone?
No, I can't.
This is a problem.
All right.
Well,
here, let me.
Time. The Suns are up on the Clippers, 45-35. So much.
There we go. Yeah, it's not looking good for her. So the family, as I said earlier, went to Hershey Park. So, John's frozen. What a great
Hershey Park was also the location, I believe, of Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game.
I believe that's correct. So I texted her earlier, how was the drive? They were going to go. Apparently, if you go there after, 5 p.m. or something, and you have a ticket for the next day, you get in for for free or something like that.
It's like Wally World.
Something like that. So they were going to go there. So I said, how was the drive? Did you go to the hotel? Are you at the park? So she said, got dinner at the pizzeria across from the hotel, and meeting them, they went with another family, friends of ours. With they have 2 kids. Their oldest is the same age as our youngest, Victor. So they did from school and marching band and all that. She said, meeting them at the pool now. This is why I love my wife. Victor had a stromboli, I guess, for dinner at the pizzeria, and is now taking one. So file that under TMI.
There you go. That means we have a new term: taking a stromboli.
Yeah, that's. I think we got that from my brother-in-law Andy. That was one of his pieces of phraseology. So he had a stromboli, and now he's taking one. So I imagine they're
taking a stromboli.
Good stuff. So what are you doing for 4th of July?
No big plans. Just people are taking off the next day, so I don't know if I'll be doing that, but I have a feeling things will slow down a little bit. I'm kind of looking forward to I like staying in town and not doing much on the holidays, because out here the traffic I feel for this holiday is just going to be brutal. Insane. Everybody's just going to be literally heading to the mountains, and I saw it even starting tonight. The traffic was just back, even worse than pre-COVID. So it's just not fun.
Now, once they're all gone, is it nice? Like you can walk because it empties out. You can walk the streets.
I could walk the streets. You could walk the streets all the time. But it's nice and quiet. And
hi,
just Johnny's back.
Oh, hey, do you want to start the podcast now?
Yeah. That's this is an issue. This leads back to a conversation we had on the other podcast last week, where I am getting more and more pissed off at Apple.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the same since your doppelganger left us. So.
This is true. So, my doppelganger.
Well, you look like Steve Jobs when you were standing next to
that's right.
Tiki Barber.
This is true.
I wonder if Steve Jobs had a beer with anyone named Barber.
Maybe he had a barber that served beer.
Oh, maybe.
So
I don't know.
Let's wrap it up before it goes bad.
Exactly. No, it'll be fine. Now, one thing I was going to say was that congratulations to Adam Fox from the Rangers. He won the Norris Trophy for the NHL's best defenseman. Had 42 assists this year. Last Ranger to win it was Brian Leach in 91, 92, and 96, 97.
Wasn't Barry Beck?
No, it wasn't Barry Beck. Wasn't that Barry
Is Beck a defenseman? He must have been. Or was he a winger?
I think he was a winger. Kip.
He was in winger? Barry Beck was in winger?
Kip was a winger.
He's only 17.
By the way, winger from Denver.
Winger from Denver. There you go. Whatchamacallit. And Rangers had preliminary talks with the Sabres about Jack Eichel's availability, too. So
they're
look out.
Damian Lillard's going to the Rangers.
Damian Lillard's going to the Sabres, actually.
That can't be a hot destination.
You gotta love that one. So, but yeah. So it's look out. The Rangers are on the they're on the rise.
Yeah.
They're looking to do things. They're gonna make some moves.
Can't go any.
Stir some shit in the pot.
The Rangers.
The Rangers. Well,
the Rangers.
Well, they're almost due to win another one.
This is true.
Right?
True. Well, it was 54 years the first time. So
right. So now it's 2000.
So it would be 2048.
We're only coming up on 30. So
2048 would be.
Yeah.
Would be the next time. So
when
was the last Rangers championship?
94. Yeah, the same year another team in New York should have won a championship too, but we'll talk about John Starks tonight. So
yeah,
I know. But we'll leave that alone. Sam Cassell, there you go.
Game, what was it? Game 5 or Game 6? Interrupted by the OJ chase.
That was 5.
Game 5.
That was Game 5. Yep, it was Game 5. Remember it well. You remember it well too.
Yeah. Still have flashbacks.
There you go. And then you enjoyed yourself the next day, though.
I don't remember. But yeah, okay.
This is my wedding.
Oh.
So you must have enjoyed yourself because you don't remember.
Well, no, this is true. So anyway,
that's right. Your wedding was the next day.
Yeah, yes, it was. It was indeed. Anyway, all right. Well,
thank God that.
Did you enjoy yourself?
Thank goodness that OJ.
I enjoyed myself that day.
That's it.
Thank goodness that OJ decided to run what he did and not the next day.
That's right.
This is true.
You would have been.
You might have been. I now pronounce. What's going on over there on that television?
It's over there. Yeah.
Who's Al Cowens?
Hang on a second. Kiss her in a second. What is that? OJ?
Oh, you gotta love it.
It's
funny. There was definitely a waiter there at the wedding that definitely I literally could have. It was OJ's doppelganger too. Because 3 times when I first saw him, I was like, what? Like he was hiding out.
Maybe it was.
Could have been. You never know. But anyway.
You never know.
On that note, whatchamacallit, I think we're done with hockey. What do you think?
I think we're done.
I think we are too. All right. On that note, we'll wrap up the show for today before my computer craps up again. We want to thank everyone for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. MLBTalk.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at 7:30. For those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Watch a lot of sports. Enjoy them. Enjoy the weekend. Happy 4th of July, folks. This Sunday, enjoy whatever it is you're going to be doing for the 4th of July. Just, if you're drinking a lot, drink responsibly. Enjoy your long weekend. And, of course, your national holiday next Monday. And we will talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Cheers.
See you next week.
Bye. Top 10